Hello. We're so bad.
Yeah, obviously, I think we were pretty confident, right? The player matchups were fine. I think the draft matchups were fine. For us, like their weakest tier is SV and our better tier is SV, right? So we wanted to double SV, and we figured like as long if we win like 3 out of like 4 games in SV, we should be good to go because we still have some good players in like the older tiers, and we were gonna have like the matchup. We should have had the matchup on paper, like the Mons matchup, draft matchup on paper for SV. Um, so that's what we wanted to do, just kind of focus on SV. And I even put myself in SV instead of playing ORAS, which, just again to get that extra pressure in SV. So that's just kind of we approached it. It was definitely tough. Like a lot of the guys were burnt out. Definitely, including myself and pretty much everybody on the team. But we just had to like push through, and we had support from members outside the team that definitely helped a lot. So we relied on that quite a bit. Yep. Yeah. What's up?
Oh, my mic was
Yeah,
muted.
I don't know
Oh
like if
no.
you introduced because like I was
My
actually
mic was
muted for a
literally
sec.
muted on
This is
stream.
so
That's
sad.
awesome. Hello and
Oh,
welcome, DPL fans.
no way.
That's annoying. But anyways, you guys could hear LoQP. It's all good. He was the one yapping there. So you want to get like the SV advantage, makes sense. I mean, that's half of the games in a given week. So if you can win most of those and then, a few in the other gens, you should be good to go. I think it's like a pretty reasonable strategy to just take the SV advantage that you have and try to run with it. Support a small streamer. Yes, exactly, J. Ricky. So,
Did they end up doubling Sword Shield, by the way?
Yeah, they did.
yeah,
Gotcha.
so obviously Glop and, who's their other? Oh, Paddox, of course. Yeah,
Paddock,
he's on the
yeah.
screen right now. So they
I
have
think he went
really,
like 5-2, 6-1, or
yeah,
something
really
like that in the regular
fantastic
season.
record.
And Glop's also a top player in it, so it makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and our weakest tier on paper it was like Swish as well. So it was like like we expected that going
Yeah.
in, right?
So you put Skyhorse in to Swish, which
Swish.
like makes sense, right? You get your highest percentage player in that tier. Just try to take a game off if you can.
Yeah.
Give me a shout out, L5, for being so early. Shout out to Musa Sensei. That's the GOAT right there. Many are saying it. Anyways, this
At least
matchup
one
here,
of us, yeah.
what did you look at in this specific matchup, Mons wise? Like, I see a Regigigas here. I mean, that's like the Torn check, the Neo King check, Feeny check. It's like general special blanket check, right?
Yeah, I think it was mostly like we relied like Metagross and Talonflame were definitely the best 2 months there, so we wanted to utilize that. Um, and Cart was always gonna have a tough matchup due
Yeah,
to
Buzzwole
Buzzwole and
and
Torn being
Torn.
there.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Even
I remember
Jirachi.
correctly, it was like Tailwind, so it could have been like Tailwind, so it could have been like a nice win con in the end, right? So if you chip the Torn, if you knock it once, and the rocks are up, right? And then you get an attack boost or something like that, and then you have Aerial Ace for Buzzwole, like he can actually be a nice win con. The prep changed like kind of last minute. I think Skyhorse got nervous because he lost a mock to someone. He had like completely different prep, and he changed it because he lost one mock to someone, and I think the previous team might have been slightly better, but I don't know. It's just hindsight.
Well, yeah.
It was like Metagross. Now he wanted to change it to like Liege Regigigas with like Body Slam knockoff Toxic, I think. To just like kind of force progress because it was like kind of decent into anything that was in Buzzwole.
Yeah, fair enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it was supposed to be Sash Metagross at first. So it's Sash, you set up rocks and you kind of get a kill. Like it was really hard to defend, right? Sash like double steal EQ because you never go in Buzzwole early. You never risk in a Buzzwole until you've seen like the whole moveset on Metagross, so you can get like leverage out of your Metagross.
Yeah, because you'll
So that
always
was really
assume
fun, really.
Psychic unless proven otherwise in this kind of matchup.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's why that's why I liked lead Metagross, but we changed it.
Alright, well, as we're gonna look at the game now.
Yep.
We lead off with Regigigas into Nidoking, which is the matchup that you wanted, right? Special Wall into Special Mon. You get a knockoff here, remove the potential Life Orb. Anything else that wants to come in obviously is not going to enjoy having their item removed.
Yeah.
Or is he a Toxic immediately? Oh, the slow substitute is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was tough lead like on start, right? Because if you get the sub up on an attack, because maybe if you expect a Buzzwole, you can get like a Toxic off on something. But yeah, that was really tough. Well, good prep by Paddox. But I think one mistake maybe that we've made is we've seen Paddox run a lot of toxic defensive teams. So we should have just like played on that, right?
Yeah, I did a video with Glop about Torn T basically in Swish, and we went over this team a lot, and Paddox used it the whole time, and a lot of it was just like toxic knock U-turn Torn with like, you know, just passive damage, eventually putting things in range of like a Scarf Buzzwole, a Weavile endgame, stuff like that. So like it makes sense given like prep styles of this guy, but obviously, you know, lead Nidoking, you expect rocks if anything. So I think a sub is a fair play. Didn't work out here because of the turn 1 toxic, and then now rocks go up. So this Nidoking getting the absolute goop nut off. It was Sash lead Nidoking, so
because you don't necessarily expect toxic. You're like, I get it, because like, what are you toxicking? The only thing you would like toxic for is because there's a Kyurem on that team, right? So I guess toxic is for Kyurem. Like he benched Kyurem and Skuntank.
Yeah, but like you also
so,
want
like,
Ice Beam, Earth Power, right? And like it's not out of it's not out of question to say you want like Poison Jab for Primarina as well. Like there's a lot of moves that Nidoking would want. Toxic is not necessarily at the top of the list, you know, at the front of the mind. So I get it.
Yeah, so I kind of get it. Yeah.
Either way, it's going to end up being a 1-for-1 trade, basically, but Rocks going up is good for Paddox, and he actually doesn't sack it. He risks the pair on Torn, which is a choice, I think, but not punished.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the right play for Paddox.
Then Metagross comes in. We trade HP for Rocks.
So here I talked with Glop, because like if the Metagross was weakness policy, apparently it just won. But what Glop told me is like they just said, yeah, we don't have anything for weakness policy Metagross. Let's just like Heat Wave, and you know, if they're weakness policy, we just bite the bullet and lose. Because like
great plan.
Apparently they
love
plus
that.
2 kill. Yeah, so they still Heat Waved, right? So I don't know. I don't think that was a good play, but it kind of worked out again. Like probably should, and you probably should be ready for weakness policy Metagross.
Well, I don't know if you would go to it there necessarily. Like if you were weakness policy Metagross, it would probably be in the back.
Yeah, exactly right.
Any live a hit though, like from the Metagross?
Finny would live, but it wouldn't kill back because you'd be at like 50%, right?
Yeah, because if you're agility, you can run bulky, right? You can run like no speed and yeah.
Yeah, you'd probably creep like a Scarf Buzzwole, Scarf Jirachi maybe. Maybe Scarf Nidoking is a better benchmark for that. But yeah.
Yeah.
So Metagross trades Rocks and HP. Nidoking does go down, uses up the sack there. Jirachi comes in, pretty free U-turn, although like we're just taking rocks on Jirachi for fun. I guess you get regen out of it, but whatever. now SD, but toxic Torn. So lots of passive damage focused on this team, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's just a
Yeah, that
Jirachi
was a
sack.
pretty toxic. Yeah. Because now the time, like, you basically, like, neutralize, like, the two biggest threats, right?
Yeah,
By
using
the way,
Metagross and
Ophi,
Talon.
you're not streaming for us in voice chat
Oh,
again.
right. My bad.
Yeah.
I forgot.
So I'm kind of a bit behind because I'm following.
Yeah,
your
just watching on
stream.
YouTube, yeah.
You gotta tell me, man. I forget sometimes.
Hey, I remembered this time.
Yeah. All right. So a flame charge on Jirachi. Second time we've seen a flame charge on Jirachi get punished. Feeny comes in for basically free. That being said, it is gonna go down to Braver, so never mind. It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, getting rid of Feeny is nice here, but, like, again, what do you necessarily need Feeny for? Not that much. Prim is looking nice.
What's the win condition? It's gonna be Kartana, right? Get rid of the boots on Torn here, which is nice.
I was about to say, like, Torn looks really hard to kill at this point. But
Yeah. I mean, if you get to, like, plus, like, if you get your tailwind up, like, it looks nice, but, like, it doesn't kill after rocks because it's, like, super bulky Torn.
Yeah, and then the freeze on the switch in is kind of tough.
The freeze was tough, but it didn't matter in the end. Like,
I don't
it's
think
just
so,
like,
yeah.
because, like, if Cart would have tailwinded, but, like, Torn lived, so.
Yeah, you just go hard Torn.
It was kind of checkmate. Like, it was just like Paddox could have just, like, traded the whole game, and, like, he was such in a good position because the early toxic on Nidoking.
Yeah, taking advantage like turn 1 and then run with it, right? Just never let up the pressure. And now knocks out the life orb, and it's just cooked at this point. Screens are gone, but yeah, everything wins. Right, GN. Buzzwole comes in, just poison jab.
So much work that game.
Poison jab, right? Yeah. So Lando does pivot in. He's doing his best, but
it was like too little, too late. Yeah.
Physical Lando, so explosion is your best move to hit Buzzwole, I guess. Like, I don't know.
GG. Still pretty close, right? But it was just like Paddox was, like, in the driver's seat the whole game.
Yeah, it was close because he just made, like, the safest plays possible at the end because he didn't have to make any risks.
Yeah, and, like, Sky couldn't really make aggressive plays because Thorn was just so free into card every time, right?
Yeah. So really well played from Paddox. It was good prep, good play. Like, obviously, it's gonna end up in a win. All right, now we have Sabow versus Josh. So Josh, right now, going into this game, is 7-0, undefeated regular season, and now he's in the playoffs with his Mega Guard team up against Sabow. I forget how Sabow was doing. I think he was like 4-3 or something. Like,
he was 3-3.
Oh,
it was what?
He was 3-3.
3-3. Right, same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so this matchup, we figured, like, Amoonguss looked amazing here.
It does.
Especially
it
if you
looks so
run
good.
Berry. You can get, like, an easy 50 on guard. You don't die to Thundy Psychic. You beat Suicune, you beat Nidoqueen, you beat Turak, and you can put Skarm to sleep, right? So the only good check was gonna be, like, safety goggles Skarm, which is, you don't have helmet, you don't have lefties, right? Which is, like, super specific prep. I don't fully remember the rest. I don't know, it was, like, obviously extrasensory Zapdos. It was breaking Zardex. It was gonna be Wincon as the Doublade, if I remember correctly.
Is Josh that great or just some lucky run? I mean, he is that great. He's consistently been one of the best ORAS players in the history of the tournament, right?
I think, like, it was a combination of playing really well, but also getting, like, you know, some
definitely
breaks,
some,
like...
yeah.
He's got some lucky games, right? You can't go 8-0 or 7-0, whatever it is, without getting luck, right? That's just how it is.
Yeah, but, like, he still should have been, like, 6-1 or 5-2, but, like, you know, sometimes
that's still
things go your way.
Right?
Yeah.
Alright, want to get right into this game, or?
Yeah, let's do it. Like, I think we definitely had a good matchup going into this.
Yeah, because, like, the Zard looks really strong. the dew blade as well. Like honestly, you just SD on the things that are
Yeah.
supposed to check you, like Skarm.
Yeah, and you beat as long as you beat the Suicune, you're fine. Oh, turn 1 crit doesn't really matter, I think.
Yeah, of course, dude,
Probably
just
not.
crit.
Double
So
crit,
lucky.
dude. Into helmet.
So Skarm coming in on Uxie might make you think that it's probably defog. Just because you're coming in on the rocker, you want to be able to defog that away. I mean, you could argue
Yeah.
maybe you want to just trade hazards versus a Zard team. But most likely Nidoqueen or Terrakion are able to set up rocks. And you'd rather play with a rock's advantage than just matching it.
Yeah, Thundy was a good play. Because, you know, Sabow's probably gonna...
Yeah, this was a smart pivot,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah, so far, not a good start for us.
Yeah.
But you want to weaken the Nidoqueen because it basically puts it in range of Doublade, right? If you Breath Power, yeah, good play.
Yeah.
Do you think he should have attacked Nido again, or do you think it would be better the defog?
Considering there's a Zard.
No, you want to defog. Yeah,
Yeah,
you want to defog.
Okay.
It's too early in the game, right?
You have to get your Mega off before the rocks go
Things
up.
like Third Blitz did nothing. Rocky Helmet, yep, double helmet.
Yeah.
This guy's just getting chipped away.
Yeah.
God.
The J-Ricky Citrus Berry coming out in full force here on the Uxie, and the rocks do go up. But we are probably just going to see a fog, right? Yeah, immediate fog. So keeping this Thunders healthy.
Yeah.
And again,
But here you can
Suicune
always-
can just come in.
Yeah, you can set up. Because if you weaken the Suicune, now Doublade's looking crazy.
Yeah, it's good
Or-
progress, right?
Yeah. Because like, if you look at this, like Doublade looks like it just goes crazy right now, right?
Yeah, with rocks up
Yeah.
especially, Skarm's a little bit chipped, Suicune's really low, Thunderous in range of +2 sneak, Terrakion kind of walled back. Nidoqueen is like the only thing that can take a +2 sneak right now.
Yeah,
Low-key.
but it's almost in range.
Yeah, but then the rest Suicune goes off. Goes for a rest talk, gets a roar, so burns a turn for free.
Yeah.
And now you actually reveal the no toxic on this defensive Suicune, so Zard can kind of pivot in for free. Given there's no rocks up, but instead we go Amoonguss, risk the burn. Not sure how I feel about this. I feel like the burn on Amoonguss, it would be so game ending.
I'm actually surprised Josh was staying in with Suicune on Amoonguss because Grass Knot does 1,000,000,000% to this.
It does, yeah.
And then if you lose your Suicune, like Zard is kind of tough, right? Yeah, there you go.
Then he sleep talks for fun.
Well, he was
Misclick or
spored, so he
miscount?
didn't.
Oh, right.
He was spored,
Yeah,
so he
yeah.
didn't know when he was
Never
waking
mind.
up.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And then here, like,
You didn't do it for fun.
this damage just doesn't make sense, right? 42 from a Life Orb Kren.
Yeah, we expected Spidef Skarn because you need to fizz that for like what Zard, which
Oh, no, it makes
Zard's gonna
sense,
kill
but
you
like,
with Spidef.
just seeing it do 42, that doesn't really compute to me. Like, how is Greninja just so weak?
Yeah, I know. But hey, Suicune, now
On Skull.
God.
And you
No
do have
Dark
Grass
Skull.
Knot, so he has to scout for that. But he goes to Rakion, which is like
Yeah,
not
that was
exactly
interesting.
covering it.
That was very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't understand the sequence. So at this point, we're kind of like it was tough for us, but then we're kind of back in the game.
Yeah, definitely back.
I
Zard gets T-Wade, but honestly, what else are you gonna do there? I don't mind it. Then full parry, yeah. I'm not
If he
sure.
was attacked, that was like pretty big,
Yeah,
right?
because Nidoqueen was dead here.
Yeah.
Gets the heal bell, so
Heal
at least your Zard's not parried anymore. Trade rocks
Yep.
because you don't have your Fogger anymore. You may as well.
Yeah, fine. Your Zard is mega too, so it's not
Yeah.
as bad.
Like only 25. And you can roost on this Skarm low-key. Never mind, just
Yeah.
Flare Blitz it,
It's
knock it
true.
out.
I mean, no, but that was a good play from Josh staying in.
Yeah. Alright, I feel like you probably still could have roosted. I don't know if staying in was entirely correct from Josh's end, but I guess the Suicune's really low. You have to sack something.
Yeah, you don't really have much. Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe it's what you
Kinda have
had to do.
toxic it. Yeah. So
And now
now,
Amoonguss
now
para into
Amoonguss looks
full
like it just
para.
wins. It's Payapa, right?
Yeah. Thunderous
But,
in Rock's range now. The defogger's dead, so get your
Yeah,
regen.
it feels like
sack
the only
Uxie.
way Josh can win this game is para hacks, right? Like I don't see how else you win. And Mungus
Seems
just
like
beats
good
everything.
odds. Then here, this
We'll see.
was strange, I think, because we already revealed the bulk on this Nidoqueen. He has to know that it lives this Scald.
Yeah.
But if you look at Gren versus the rest of it, Guard gets gunk shotted, Thundurus is dead to rocks, Suicune dies to Grass Knot. Like this Gren, literally just get Torrent range and it kills everything, right?
Yeah, because you're yeah.
So this was a really strange play for me watching this. Because we just sack our Gren when it was 5 seconds away from winning for chip on Nidoqueen.
Yeah.
Like
When it
really
was
all
just-
you needed was Torrent and it just swept. So I see that kind of as a choke, but
I mean, Sabow should still win from this point, but we'll see. Yeah,
like,
because if
Suicune
you
gets
get the
rest
grass knot,
off,
yeah, if you get the grass knot here, Doublade wins.
it still
should
might win, low key. We go to it hard on the sub. So Shadow Sneak breaks.
Yeah, it was just hyper voice, right?
Yeah. I wonder if staying
You
in
should
with
double here,
Amogus
I
was
think.
correct. He does double, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so doubles on the
Good play.
Suicune,
So now, okay, yeah.
and he gets parried.
Yep.
And
Yep.
parried again. Yeah.
And now something tough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's kind of hard to win, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty hard, because now you just Rocky Helmet it.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's over.
Go on.
Alright. And then now it's just Psyshock.
Few crucial pairs.
For sure.
Hold on.
I'm just wondering, right? That Gren was so close to winning. Like, surely you could have done something about that. Also, there's probably a case to be made that in this position here, Suicune's asleep with no turns burnt, guards at full. I think low-key, on this turn here, after sacking the Thundurus, there's definitely room for you to just stay in and Sludge Bomb till you die. Because then your Doublade enters at full HP, you can SD up.
It really doesn't do much to Suicune. You need to be like plus 3 to 2 hit KO.
But it has no turns burnt, and like, for it to actually threaten your Doublade, it needs to not only pull a Skull, but it also needs to burn, which is just so low odds.
It could also be like Will-O-Wisp Gardevoir.
It could be, for sure. But I think you didn't really have too many outs at that point.
Yeah.
And like
I mean,
here,
his
if you
outs
go to
were-
it hard on like, on a Psychic, for
Because like at
example.
first because if Amoongus I found out double Amoongus hit the grass knot, the game was over. Right, because the next time like it's Doublade versus Guard, you know it's not Wisp now, so like you
Well, we don't know
you
it's
just
not
do
Wisp.
SD and you win.
He never really had to risk it in this exact sequence. So he
um
might have been Wisp. It's hard to say. Could also just be like Encore or something. But
you can
Could
encore.
be it could be
Because Encore
subcom
was
mind.
what do you call minding on though? Like Uxie maybe?
Zapdos Luchi.
Yeah, because if you hit the grass knot here, Suicune's at what 38, so the next time he comes in it's at 26, and then so Doublade just wins, right?
Yeah.
You have to bank on the power.
It's definitely like bad luck
Yeah.
for sure. I just see several other lines that maybe looked a little better.
Yeah, I think the early game was tough.
It was, yeah.
Josh definitely outplayed the early game with like the pivoting around the Zapdos and Nidoqueen and stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna be the game. PTE goes up 2-0 now.
Yep.
So now we go to game 3.
Not a good look for us.
Yeah. This is the thumbnail Serperior though, so you already know we're coming back, and we mean business. Switch sides for continuity. Anyways, now we have II versus Hunter. So this is two captains battling it out. Should be a good game.
I actually don't remember that much about this spread because I know I doesn't really need support.
Yeah, he's kind of
So
self-sufficient in that way.
yeah, so we don't really look at it as much.
I mean, we could just watch the game if you want, but
Yeah,
maybe
let's
looking at
just
the
watch
matchup is
it.
probably worth it. It is semifinals after all, so like looking at it from the other side at least, Beedrill here. I mean, there's just Lando T. That's like one of the best Beedrill counters ever, so not really too worried about that. Cress is like an interesting one because it does kind of demand like a boosting item on your Kieran Black. It's Gen 7 though, so it's probably just going to be a Z move trying to catch the Crest with like a Z Freeze Shock once it's a little bit
Like
shit.
toxic is always an option, right?
There is Toxic, yeah, like Sub-Toxic. It does seem pretty reasonable here because, you know, something like Steelix, you have to run Gyro Ball really because Heavy Slam is not doing any damage to Kieran Black.
Yep. I
So
need to
you
keep
stall that out. Yeah, I do like Sub here, honestly. It does look pretty strong. Like Sub, Ice, Earth Power, Toxic is pretty reasonable.
I think with Rocks Up, Comfy can look decent too, right? Because it always checks like Grand, Infernape, Zygarde from like going too crazy.
Yeah.
And like especially if you like glare, if you manage to like glare the Beedrill, because it was glare sort that I remember. Yeah, I know like Comfy was EV to like kill after Rocks draining Kiss into HP Fire or Beedrill. So if you glare the Beedrill, Comfy was like really good.
Yeah, offensively, Comfy looks really powerful here.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a nice safety net, right? For like
Gren,
Reds.
Infernape, Zygarde especially.
Yeah,
and
so
then
it made it so you didn't have to run a Scarfer basically.
Yeah, and then the main thing that checks you, like the Beedrill and you could say the Steelix, although it's taking a lot from HP Fire, you have your Lando ready to do that, and then like Bronzong can come in on Steelix, trade HP, get rocks up, all that stuff, which will help for the Beedrill. Let's see, Gren here, there's like maybe Spadef Mega Blastoise, and maybe Spadef Serp, maybe a bulky Kyurem, maybe bulky Comfy. Like, all the Gren checks are like shaky at best. So it does seem like a pretty strong mon. Can get spikes up as well. I mean, Blastoise could spin them away, but it is an option. And then Infernape, Infernape looks really good here. What would I bring here?
It's also Mega Blastoise, right?
Yeah, it is Mega Blastoise. I would say
there's
maybe...
nothing that like complete. I mean, it's gonna be heat-proof Bronzong because you're facing a Zygarde, so that definitely helps versus Infernape. It's like Infernape and Grand, they don't OHKO anything, but late game, if like your mons are chipped, they're really hard to check.
Yeah, I would probably be Life Orb mixed here, because Overheat will annihilate Lando, which has to be physically defensive, or the Beedrill, or like Scarf, but if it's Scarf, that's still getting chipped really hard by CC. So, do that, and then maybe Mach Punch or Vacuum Wave, and then Grass Knot for the Blastoise seems pretty reasonable. You don't need rocks on it because you have a Steelix. Yeah. I think that's what I'd run. Maybe put Z on it. Either way. Wall Breaker Infernape goes hard. We see a Greninja lead off into Serperior immediately. II on the front foot. We see a U-turn from Greninja not fearing Scarf Serp, so maybe the Gren is Scarf itself. Otherwise, I'm not sure you risk that.
Going Beedrill is definitely not the play here.
I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Everything else is not much better, right? Taking a Leaf Storm.
Probably just didn't have counterplay to Zygarde.
So it's Toxic Beedrill, which is able to put Lando on a timer, but now it's intimidated. You get a U-turn, a slower U-turn from the Beedrill, so...
Yeah, staying in was a good play, because you know Lando was never clicking EQ into Crest.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense for Beedrill to stay in. It's like on Ice perspective.
So Infernape gets a free turn here. It's Adrenaline Orb Nasty Plot. Actually pretty cool set. And Fire Blast just one-shots the Lando, so very epic stuff.
I liked your reaction in the chat. Oh my god. Yeah, he proved. There you go.
Oh my god. He's so good. And then Fire Blast into the obvious heat-proof Bronzong, but Psywave is an awful move. It's so bad. But here we're nasty plotting to the moon for what?
Probably like KO on Blastoise or something. And
then Jet doesn't kill. My god. But now it's in comfy range, but the damage has well and truly been done.
Over, bro,
it does. Oh man. Power does
And it's
28.
super
Oh
spin
my
dev
god.
Vidra.
28 is some vile work. Is this the
Like
Iron
you look
Bee?
at this game at this point, you're like, how it's over, right? You just wanna forfeit, you know?
Yeah. We
I
get a
thought it
para
was
going.
so over. I thought it was over after the ape like didn't die to the jet. Honestly,
Yeah.
Maybe we
yeah.
could have roosted there as the beach roll. Thoughts?
Hunter probably thought it was like over, right? So he just
Oh
like
yeah, but like
right. You shouldn't. Yeah, I know.
with the power of hindsight, perchance.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a reason this serp is on the thumbnail. Yeah, Ironhead, Sheer Force, Steelix, by the way. And now, Glare.
Does Serp win these? Good question,
It's
Heldress.
so strong though, that Ironhead. Damn,
Yeah,
47.
right?
Oh my god. And now there's the para.
Uh-oh.
+4.
And
Alright,
now,
guys.
How do you beat Serp?
Now Gren in. It's kind of a 50-50 between U-turn and Ice Beam. Goes for Ice Beam on the Glare, which I think Glare was like low-key correct anyways, but if you U-turn into the Infernape sack here, I think that might have been a little bit more optimal.
Yeah.
But the problem with
Yeah,
that is
'cause you
if you
can't- yeah, 'cause
Synthesis,
Serp-
like Synthesis Serp would basically just earn a KO by doing that sequence. And here with Glare, you can fish for full paras. Eventually it will come.
yeah, Hunter needs like a freeze or something.
Yeah, you definitely should have sacked 8 because U-turn does enough damage to put it in range of Ice Beam, and you can't like fish for para, right? I mean, it's like 50% chance to, 25% chance to get the para on Ape, which is like
Yeah.
odds in Hunter's favor compared to this.
The only problem with that is if you U-turn as Gren on a Synthesis, I'm pretty sure you just lose.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's like a 50-50 of sorts, which he got wrong. Which like,
Yeah.
whatever. And now Lee Storm just knocks this out. And chat?
Looks like it knocks everybody up. Yeah.
Serp stage the season.
Yeah.
Would that
Yeah.
hidden
Yeah,
power
this point,
ground?
good. Guys, like if we went down 0-3, it was over. It was over.
Yeah.
Some of the matchups we had like later, we were like
Disaster class from both players.
I don't like. Did anybody like do anything like that outrageous? I feel like Hunter just lost like a 50-50.
He lost a 50-50, but also like letting the Beedrill go down was probably
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
poor foresight. But hey, I don't really
hidden
blame him for
power
thinking the game
was
was over. Honestly,
Yeah, no.
it looked
yeah.
chalked.
The thing is, when you're like up like 5 or like 6-2 or like a good
Yeah.
position like this, you stop like kind of stressing out about the most optimal play. You're just like, okay, I won.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
yes,
But
I
when you're looking
won.
at the
This
Serp
is
set, you
epic.
should kind of figure out that he still has a chance.
Yeah,
You know it's there. You know
Serp
it's
can
Lee
always
Storm, you know it's
win.
most likely Serp.
yeah. Shout out to Serp.
He's so
This is the
good.
second Serp sweep he got this season, right? He got a 6-0 on Devon with Serp,
Yeah.
and now still getting 5 kills. Broken
Yeah.
line. Oh,
Oh my god. Who's that?
see, I think I have more insight on this game. I remember a little bit,
more,
a
yeah.
little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Right. Give it to
Okay,
us.
Sub had a Empoleon and Zapdos Galar on the bench.
Mhm.
I had a Sinistra and a Frostmoth.
God Frostmoth.
So I'm bringing the Fortress, right? The 1-win Fortress this season.
Yep.
I'm
He's
being
here.
ballsy,
Yeah.
A season on the line. Fortress is here to save it. So looking at the matchup, he's got like some good hazard stackers, and I can't spin into him because Sinistra, like the Donphan and Fortress never spin on Sinistra,
Yep.
Mhm.
and he can. So that means it's tough for me to like bring like a more defensive team. I kind of have to bring Ho, but like Ho into like his Piloswine, Quillfish, and then Terapagos was like really bad. So my offensive mons kind of they needed chip on those guys, and they lost the trades, right? Eviolite mons are good at like kind of trading, so is Terapagos. So I would lose a trade. So this game I just went in with like 5 boots mon and I 1 helmet. knockoff sack to rolling.
Yeah.
And so it's just, and I had my own hazards with like spin block too. It was Ghost, Iron Moth, like max HP, max BDF, pretty much. Max defense fortress with volt switch. I think it was rocks, spikes, body press, and then Moon was boots. I think it was boots. DD with like
all boots.
It was sub roost EQ Dragonclaw, so I could sub on the Sinister. I could sub on a Coolfish Bar Barrage if he's not invested. Donphin was Schmack's defense with Rocky Helmet, Chip the Roaring Moon. Palafin, obviously boots, just adamant. And Zapdos was boots as well. It was boots Erie Impulse for setup shenanigans on
Sinister, yeah.
That game's pretty long.
It is a pretty long game, yes. Just click the play button. Shout out to Gregulator. Guy knows what's up.
Yeah.
This is like an example of like where you don't have any offense that immediately wins, but they also have the slow burn of like hazards plus spin block where you have to like play around both. It's really hard. So here...
I didn't fully get the Meteor Beam turn 1. I feel like you should have saved it because it's obvious I'm gonna Terra Ghost.
Well, yeah, if you stay in, you're obviously tearing. And if your Terra Ghost is probably Bulky Moth, so you could probably put the 2 and 2 together. But also...
This was such a good turn for me, because this means, like, it opens up my DD Moon, right? Because now it's just, like, as soon as it weakened to Piloswine, DD Moon can go crazy.
Oh, this is the Moth that keeps switching? Oh, yeah, I remember watching this one live, being very confused. So here Morning Sun comes out. Dark Pulse is revealed, but it only does half, which means you can stall this out, but it will eat up a lot of your Morning Suns.
Yeah, and at this point, I didn't really mind. Yeah, that was a good play
rocks
for
go
me,
up.
picking rocks. Obviously, it didn't matter because my whole team was boots, and this was interesting because he's basically max PDF as well.
Yeah, with Toxic.
And he's Toxic. That was definitely tough. Like, because I wonder Whirlwind kind of scout, like maybe he's gonna Fiery Dance, maybe Meteor Beam or something.
Yeah.
Right.
When I see this, immediately I'm thinking, okay, your Moth is now useless because all it does is it invite the opposing Moth, and you'll lose HP on something important.
Yeah, that was tough. The Toxic Mock was definitely tough for me.
Here it comes right back in. Toxic. And then, this is where it starts, right? He switches. For what? Like, this is the situation that you like.
He showed me the set, He showed me the set. I think he just wanted to get hazards up, right? I kind of get the play at some point, right? Because you want to get hazards up.
But, like, this is a good situation. This is like, I remember back in the day, people would be like trying to double out their Mega Metacham into something else. I'm like, bro, that's the one you double into, not out of. It was like a pet peeve of mine. I remember.
Yeah, but that Moth set was really tough, right? Because obviously
you have really nothing for it. Like, it always gets some kind of pressure.
Yeah.
Alright, knocks off the helmet, and now you go Sinistra to block spin, and you go Terapagos, same thing.
I was actually surprised by the Terapagos play.
I mean, it makes sense. If you spin, the rocks go right back up, so...
Yeah.
No problem. But yeah.
Yeah, here I can get a free double, because I know... So the way he was playing, I could see like he was just preserving everybody. So I was like, okay, I can just double, because I know he's going to preserve the Terapagos. And then here we go. And here comes the fun turns.
Yeah, Sonic Quillfish.
Obviously, he taunts me, but for me, like, I don't care if he's stalked, right? I was mental at first, but I don't care if he's stalked, because I get a free volt. You never go in Piloswine. And
it's
here,
like,
I get a volt.
It's always worth for you to attempt the Stealth Rock, and it's always worth for him to taunt to deny it. So it's like...
Yeah, here I knew he was going to preserve, either go Piloswine or Quillfish.
So
I evolved my Palafin. Yeah, so this is actually good turns for me. Because I'm just getting my team set up, right? I needed my Terramoth, I needed my Palafin, and now I'm getting Chip for free, right? Like,
there's no cost.
What do you do, right?
It's just a flip turn.
I just flip turn for free, and then I get Zapdos in. And here, I think I doubled, because I know, like, you're not. Again, I know you're preserving. I get like it didn't really provide much, but it kind of got in his head, right?
It doesn't cost you anything. So now, is the thing.
Yeah, now I can Hurricane. Kind of just like switch my sequence. And that was a big turn. I can always go Fortress on this, because if you don't double... I kind of expected the double here, but I was like, yeah. Like...
Well, the double Fortress is actually
double
raw.
Again. Like I could just always double because the way he was playing, and also I got nothing out of that double. But I'm getting like I'm slowly burning his
You
defense,
got
right?
12% out of that double.
Exactly, but it's the same as the Palafin double. I get 12%. Same here,
Yeah.
right? Like
Death
I
by
think he's playing
1,000
he plays
cuts.
zero. But then I always rock this fight because I lose nothing. Because
Yeah.
as soon as I get my hazards up, it's fine. That was a super aggressive play because if I body pressed, oof, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Here then he goes Zapdos. Wow.
He makes a nice play, gets
yeah,
the
yeah,
Roaring
yeah.
Moon in.
Okay, so
on
what
Moth.
the reason I went Zapdos is because I expected him to be choiced because he didn't U-turn on my Donphan.
Oh yeah.
So I was like,
makes
okay, he
sense.
should U-turn and not knock to just like get the momentum going. And I wanted to get the static.
Yeah, free fish.
And then here I think he clicks knock. So now, like, it's not looking good for me right at this point. Like, hazards up, I lose my moon check. Moon looks crazy.
It
from this
does,
point.
yeah. Moon is like by far the biggest threat to you. But also,
Yeah.
can I just mention, 2-turn Donphan added again.
Yep.
Never
It
fails.
got the shard, it got the
Yep.
helmet. I needed a knock sack, right?
Yeah.
And here he stays. I was surprised he stayed in here. I don't think that was a good play.
I think it makes sense, right? Because you're getting rocks up there, 100%. But then he allows you to get spikes up as well, which is like kind of
that's
crazy.
why staying in was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably didn't expect me to be rocks and spikes on this, you know?
Yeah.
Because, usually. And then from this point, like, it completely changes, right?
Because now the Roaring Moon's
Like,
on a timer.
I'm in the driver's seat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Moon,
there's like
Moon has like
3
2
months with
switch-ins.
no boots. Guaranteed,
Yeah,
right?
at this point, it was pretty much checkmate for me.
Yeah.
And yep, crash. Palafin takes nothing because this guy's defensive.
And this
And
isn't a
then
boots
I always
either.
get 3 flip turns. It's
Yeah,
again for me, it's just
Citrus.
be patient. I'm playing like a real draft player. Just click pivot moves.
Yeah. Shout out.
And then here, Hurricane is free unless I miss. That was actually an annoying miss because I didn't have a move to hit it.
Yeah, and you can't risk that.
But like, he doesn't know that, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In hindsight, he probably should have clicked EQ, but it doesn't really matter.
It's a hard click to make, Fire, though.
Because Zapdos is gonna kill you. It's either Ice Shard or EQ. I don't think you click Crash. Small difference, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, here I get the sack, Outrage. And yeah, I know I take it because I know he's Scarf at this point. I just Volt Switch. And then he's in Rock's range.
And Jet Punch range. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is free again. What did I do against this?
Just flip turn to Zapdos, right? Or Moth. I guess you
I
don't
didn't
need
need the
Moth
Moth.
anymore. Because it loses to
Yeah, I think he's
opposing
also
Moth.
like Mono Poison move, right?
Yeah, he is Mono Gunk, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's free.
Yeah, and now we still don't know what the Moth is, right?
Yeah, like...
He clicks Toxic here. I'm like, okay, you have nothing to hit me with.
I was joking around in the ZFG server that this is like Hyper Voice Giga Impact. Like, what else would you have?
It was Whirlwind. You showed me the team. It was Whirlwind Psychic.
Okay.
And the reason is like I somewhat expected like a bulky Moth because I was in VC with Glup and sub for another Moth mirror earlier in the season. They were like, yo, we should bring like Max Bedef Moth because it checks Moth.
Whirlwind Psychic is definitely not real, but
yeah.
Okay, man.
Then like I was like, okay, yeah, the game was over. Because you can't.
It's
be,
just
like,
so funny to me.
Yeah. I don't know why you didn't click Psychic though, but I mean the game was over.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Because you forced the Terra and then Moon.
I flip turn, yeah. Yeah.
J-Skirt
I think
says, bro, I
be
just got
patient
some
this
ad
game.
about the Rizzler and edging. Get better advertisers. You know that's like an algorithm based on what you like, right? Who's to say?
Edging. Holy shit. The Rizzler and edging. Yeah. I mean, you're watching me, right? So...
Self-report, right? It can happen to anyone, bro.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for me, it was just like be patient this game. Like,
yeah, this was like a great example of being patient in draft, and
It was just like, yeah, it was just
Eventually
make
finding
the
your
right play,
opening.
get carried by prep, and like another thing was like not repeat the same sequence over and over again, right?
Yeah, you always mix it up a
Like
little
just
bit
had those.
where it's very easy for you to outplay him because his play was very linear, but yours you mix it up a bunch, so it's hard for him to like call out certain plays.
Yeah, I think that was a well played game. I definitely got back into the rhythm after mids.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now the series is 2-2. Brought it
Yeah.
back,
So
and
the
now
hype is
we
back, you know? The hype is back.
yep, and now we
And
have Fagos versus Slick Panther. All right. Thank you, TSP. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Do we want to get there?
I don't know, man. We'll see. But anyways, this matchup here, another Zarude, but it's Zarude post mids, so he's like giga negative. Dude, Zarude is a funny one because going into mid season, he was like positive, just like barely. But then after mid season, he's like 10-19. Like, what happened to this
oh
guy?
wow.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
But anyways, he's a Hydrapple, and like so far in this tournament, I'm pretty sure every Hydrapple versus Zarude matchup has gone the way of the Hydrapple.
I was hoping it was gonna keep that way. And Slick, not Slick, Faye had like an amazing matchup here. That was definitely our best matchup on paper. Like it was really hard. Like we tried to mock Faye, and it was like any build Faye had, like it was really hard for us to win. Like Hydrapple was Spidef Hydrapple. I think it was Terra Steel here. Val went crazy. Even Treads was like actually looked decent. Like everybody kind of looked decent. So it was tough. You have the overquills for like the stab Zarude, and then
And
if you're
also
not
like
stabbed,
T
like,
spikes are really reasonable here.
yeah, that too, right? Slick has so much he has to cover for, while like Faye, just like his natural sets are great. So
Yeah, he doesn't need to go out of his way to have offensive
yeah,
threats, which is really nice.
I know it was Terra Steel Hydrapple. I think it was Curse. I'm not sure if I remember correctly. I think it was
Oh, it
Curse.
was, yeah. I remember
It was
this.
It was Curse Gyro Ball at first.
I think it ended up being Terra Blast, right? But
Yeah.
and then on the
I
other
don't
side, Terra
remember.
Poisons Zarude, just aimed at flipping the script on Overquill mainly and like Valiant. There's a good
Yeah.
Terra type into this team.
Yeah, because Valiant's so good here, right? You want your poison here.
Immediate flip turn. Shout out to Draft League into Greninja.
Yeah. Good play scouting for Trick. But I mean, it's pretty much flip turn kind of semi screams choice.
Yeah, you don't really run flip turn Latios unless you're like Scarf, basically.
Yeah.
And then
It
here,
looks like Specs one.
yeah, a critical hit on what looks to be Spadef Overquill. And that's going to go down, and now Hydrapple comes in to get the Terra off, and now once it's Terra'd, the Gren is no longer as big of a threat, but definitely could force progress with Ice Beam before that. There, misses a Dragon Tail.
Detail.
Unlucky. And now Tinkaton comes in because, we've revealed we want a Dragon Tail, so just go for that. And now you have the threat of Encore, so...
Yeah, you also don't want to get knocked.
Yeah, for
This
sure.
is really,
The leftovers are really valuable. So Treads comes in, dedicated Tinkaton answer, makes sense. And now we see a Throat Chop on the Rotom, but it's Culverberry, obviously.
Good
So
damage.
able to spin block successfully.
Yep. Good
Nightshade.
neutral click, Nightshade.
Hydrapple eventually does get knocked off, but
I think the fact that he went like hard in his like Zarude on Rotom showed that he's probably had jungle healing because like Whip could have been clicked there easily.
yeah.
But we do see these synthesis, but it could still be double healing.
We also see knockoff taunt. So if it is double healing, it's
Oh,
mono
yeah.
knock against Iron Valiant.
Probably not then.
And here Rotom
Yeah,
hangs
I don't
on
get the
by a
shard
thread.
here.
He probably
it-
just thought it killed,
Yeah.
to be honest.
But looking
but
at the cat, Throat Chop is like, is 4 times the Ice Shard damage on paper, right? Because it's 80 times this 160, Ice Shard is 40, right? So it shouldn't kill. So Slick probably should have pivoted out. But I mean, it was tough. What do you pivot in, right?
Yeah.
You gotta get your pains played anyways.
And here, Gren goes for a Hydro Pump, but 56 to Hydrapple. Does a lot, but it is somewhat regenerable, and you can go to your Water Resist now because its specs revealed to lock in. Breaks the multi-scale at least, but I assume you just roost to get that back. Now we Dragon Tail on the Tinkaton coming in, so the multi-scale is broken. We can't just spin here though, because Rock's Tinkaton never really going to keep him up versus Treads.
Mm-hmm.
Face thanks for that detail.
Face stinks for that detail.
Dude, I love your comments during the game.
Respectfully. I'm so funny, dude. I swear.
And then Donphan dies and does nothing.
Yeah, shout out to Don. I swear, dude, Donphan only gets more than 2 turns when it's just getting spin blocked all game. That's the only time it gets more than 2. Find me a counterexample, I dare you. Now Hydrapple farms up the regen, which is a big deal, because now the Gren is no longer as big of a threat. Alright, D-Knight comes in on Heat Wave, kind of just hard walls Zapdos. No real problem. Now this Balloon Tinkaton, I remember, it was like super annoying, because watching this game, I got like the vibe that like this Dragonite was EQ Dragon Tail Roost like DD or something. Not DD, but like some like T-Wave maybe. Like something non-attacking. So Tinkaton just hard walls this. But then I also thought it would be Earthquake last on Hydrapple. So I was like, man, is this Balloon Tinkaton gonna put in like mad OT? Because like Trez comes in,
just dying rocks, right?
But like yeah, like it's kind of crazy. Anyways, I wasn't looking for a few turns. Okay, we see the Gren double on the Iron Treads. Kind of crazy, so you get one last hit off. Hydro Pump to bring the Hydrapple low. You can switch to D-Knight though. So just get your chip, I guess, and die. But misses Hydro Pump.
Yeah. Oh, it's fair enough, right? I think you hit like all of them, so you should, you know.
Yeah. And now Latios comes in, but it's just a Hydrapple, like 15. LMFAO.
Yeah, free Dragon Tail.
And then I see the Terra Blast, I'm like, okay, this is gonna win eventually.
Yeah.
Burger says Latios is so good. Proof? Didn't Latios go like 1-6 in this season? I swear it did something diabolical like that.
I have no idea. I think it was only drafted twice, right? Or maybe once.
Once or twice.
Yeah. How many times has fake like Dragon Tail?
So many. And now finally the balloon's gone.
Like, you're such in a good position. You have such a good matchup. You don't have to play
just
aggressive.
click the button. Attack what's in front of you.
Doesn't pressure you.
It really doesn't.
Treads, yep. Knock. Yeah, it's a good knock.
Yeah, here's interesting, because like we're sacking the Treads. I feel like this was really unnecessary, because you have a Dragonite that comes in on this. Like, Slick has to outplay every single time that Tinkaton's in to keep rocks up. Like, he has to double every single time, and there's rocks on both sides, so it's not like you can get a rocks advantage by just doubling around, because like Treads is 4 times resisting it, Dragonite's boots, Hydrapple has regen and resist rocks. Like, the rocks aren't that important. I don't know why we sacked our Treads to spin, you know? And here the rocks go up, but like, was it worth it? Like, rocks are gonna do a collective like 12%.
You get you nice 6%.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, again, like a long game. You could feel the habit of prep support, you know.
Yeah.
Long games.
And then Dragon Tail with rocks up with no boots on the Zapdos. Kind of tough. Like, I don't think this Dragonite ever has to really switch out.
Yep.
I mean, Lottie comes in, so I guess you switch out now, huh? Immediately proven wrong. But still, like, Hydrapple comes in, and you Dragon Tail again. Like, there's nothing that Panther can really do about this, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, this is just permanent progress. Like, here, you even stay in on the Latios predicting, like, a double or something, but I don't know, man.
I mean, it doesn't matter where you go.
You don't have a button to click. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep dragon tailing.
This
You
one
get
is so broken.
yeah, right. It is pressure Zapdos as well, so no chance for paralysis. There's only 4
Yeah,
Dragon Tails
especially
left,
makes sense in
actually.
Bad right? You wanna stall out the
Fickle beams, yeah. But now there's so many Dragon Tails on this team.
Yeah.
And the Earthquake is just gonna seal it, right? Because you reveal Earthquake and now you can Dragon Tail. And that's it. That's the game.
Yep.
Yeah, well played. Well played by Faye.
I think this was E-Speed last. Yeah, ended up being E-Speed. Yeah, just like very easy win. The Val didn't even have to come out.
They just made like safe progress the whole game. Yeah. So now we're up 3-2, right? We're like
yeah, we're so back.
The team was down because the last week of reg season too, right? I know you had it on stream, but like we were up 2-0. We lost 5 in a row, and then we needed like
you needed the Rage 77 to clutch up.
4-game comeback to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and they did it.
Well, now that the everybody was kind of down, and now like it's nice to win.
Yeah, you're up against the first seed.
Yeah.
Classic BPL, right?
Yeah.
All right, and now we have Shawn versus Wagen Fruit. All right. This was always like an interesting team to me because it's like the double dragon, double dark offensive thing. But then like to justify this, you need to have like Fortress and like Lando, which are stinky mons in my opinion. So I don't know. It's like give and take, right?
I mean, it was fine. What I found is like this team doesn't really have like. If you play this team defensively, it doesn't really have the checks to everybody that you want to check.
Oh, for sure.
So you always have to cover the route defensively. But we've never really tested like the HO build on this. I think we brought like SD's route once on this build, which like if we had like a more offensive approach to it, maybe it would have the team would have been different, especially Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur would fit much better on like a offensive stuff on this. But again, like the guys in SV, in our team, they prefer running like a balance, right? But so from this point, we just need like one win, and we're in tiebreaker. And for tiebreaker, we're also like pretty confident because like me, Josh, and I are like all like on decent. I think I is on a win streak. I'm on a win streak, and then Josh has had like he's like 5-2, had a great season. So we're like pretty confident if we get the tiebreaker. I just want to keep this going. But yeah, I don't fully remember what the team was. What Shawn brought.
Yeah. I just DM'd something to J. Ricky. I thought it was funny. But I mean this matchup's interesting because like I want to hate watch Fortress so bad, but also I think this team from PTE, I just hate how it looks. So like
it's just super
one of them has to win.
Like, it feels like a Who draft, you know?
It does. But like it's actually just a Who draft with flip turn, rapid spin, and then you have like your big buttons.
Yeah. Chi was definitely tough for Shawn to pivot into, especially Terra Fairy. Even non-Terra Fairy, you don't want your moon like getting burned.
I think I would like if I was Shawn, I think I would bring like a Scarf Terra Gratz to Rude here, cause like Power Whip or like even Terra Blast, like it does so much because the Gratz resisted like EU and Masquerada, and I feel like you can do it so either of them.
Avalog, I think, or like regular Avalog and something else.
I feel like
Terra Grass was good.
You could also definitely be something like Choice Banded Terra Grass. I don't think you need Scarf necessarily. And then you outspeed everything except Meow or like Scarf Chiyu, but it's probably pressured to be Boots.
Yeah, because I think like Volt Switch Fortress into Banded Terra Grass Root looks like great here.
Well, what I'm thinking is you just like eject spam into it because it's just a KO every time. Like
especially on Aloe, like, prevent Aloe from flip turning.
Yeah, eject G King, maybe like eject Fortress.
I don't remember. Let me check what was their other two mons in the matchup.
But yeah, like
Why
Zarude,
wasn't
massive
that?
threat,
It was
obviously.
it was Regalji. That's why it wasn't
Oh,
there. Grass.
Dragalge. I mean, yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah. Alright, let's
Yeah.
look into the game. So we have Ghost Zarude, getting spooky with it, and then Fairy Chi-Yu. Alright, and then Poisoned Aloe, it looks like, is the secondary Terra. But expect to see Fairy
Very Chi
Chi-Yu.
was so tough, right?
Yeah, obviously,
Also,
like this team,
Shawn's so
everything's
tough
weak
for
to
staying
Fairy.
in. Shawn is so tough for
Oh
staying
yeah, this was
in.
a raw play. Because he had triple axel, but this
Yeah.
is the pressure that Fortress exerts on the team builder. Because
Low-key,
for
yeah,
some
because
reason, Fortress pulled the Meowscarada matchup like literally 6 times this tournament.
yeah.
Like the vast
And you know what?
majority
It's
of
funny because
games.
Shawn literally said it. Oh my god, I can't deal with the Meowscaradas anymore, right? I think Shawn only used like Fortress teams this season.
I'm
Yeah.
It's also
telling you,
the triple axle miss sucked here because like it was Rocky Helmet, right? So you would have
Yeah, you would
taken
have
a
2-hit
lot.
KO'd.
I think we should just ban Masquerada. I'm gonna preach it until like Gen
A
10.
ban.
I saw a draft board that did ban Meowscarada actually recently.
Yo, I should
I
play
don't
in
think it's
that
that
league.
broken.
They had
It's a pretty simple
they
mod.
also had 18-point Ting Lu, so I don't know if it's the best example. But
I
Yeah,
mean, no
so
Masquerada sounds good.
Sean's looking like really good here, right? You get like you basically kill the threads.
yeah, and you can just
You
rock up again or spike,
you should rock
whichever.
up again.
Mm,
I mean that was a raw body press too.
it worked out, but also like you definitely rock there, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because you wanna try to count.
Pause. Dark Pulse Chi doing 44 to G King. Can we
Yep. Yeah,
ah
Okay. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think
Crazy.
you should have surfed here. You probably should double into something, because
yeah, or at least like
it's
throw
either
up a
dark
future
pulsing
sight.
or it's either dark pulsing or it's switching out, right?
Well, Fortress comes into
Now
trade
you get your
hazard.
rocks up.
Yeah.
Yeah, spikes was better because treads. Yeah.
Well, Treads
fair
dies
enough.
to rocks at this point. It's at 3.
And then here you
Oh my god.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yep, that's where it started going downhill.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not gonna
Like
lie.
I don't exactly know what like I didn't really go in it that deep for this, but yeah, that was definitely a tough turn, right?
It's like Wagen just got the play right, which
Yeah,
what are you
that's what
gonna
it is.
do
That's what
about
it was
it?
with you, right? You get the play right or you don't. If you didn't get the play right, it was looking really tough for Wagen. If he gets like he's back in the game, right?
Yeah, because if you like Dark Pulse there as like a mid ground between AVG King and Fortress, which is like the obvious play to make, but it's the safest play, then Roaring Moon comes in and like you have to go hands, and then that weakens it for the Zarude. So it's like kind of tough.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go Aloe on Moon if you have play rough and it's like physically bulky.
Yeah, and it reveals Scarf Uxie with Psychic Noise. That was a tough Uxie.
No, it's just Trick Room Landorus, trust. Yeah, Scarf Uxie is actually a pretty reasonable bring into Zarude and like Baxcalibur because you have Foul Play,
Yeah.
Trick, all that sort of thing. Here,
Yeah,
Sword
also
Stance
here, like,
Bax. Really nice.
Yeah, here I think like it was always a tough turn because like you kind of need the chip on hand
Yes,
before you
this hands,
SD.
it needs to take damage somehow, and
Before
with
you
the
SD,
moon going
yeah.
down, you have to get it with Bax. And now
Yeah, but it's tough
Zarude.
because if you glaive rush like Uchiyu, you just ice shard after, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the play was always glaive rush, but Wagen shouldn't have went hard into hands either. I don't think that was a good
Yeah.
play. He should have went out to like Meow or sack some.
Maybe.
You should have went out to sack.
And
Yeah,
it's
here.
AV
Yeah,
Aloe.
the game's over at this point. It's nothing you can do.
Is it
Because the
over?
Zarude actually looks nice, but it's Colbur, right?
Why do we flame? In what universe is
I
flame ever
think
better
he wanted
than...
to prevent Mirror Coat.
Okay, fair enough, actually. Yeah. That does
But
explain
like,
it.
yeah. I think at this point you're just trying to like bait something, but
Mhm.
it was over right at this point. I really don't know if there's anything you can do.
And it is
Yeah.
Boots Chiyu, so...
Yeah. Like catching the moon was game changing.
Maybe if you had Trailblaze on Zarude there, that could have potentially won the game.
Yeah.
But here, we're going out sad to Shadow Ball Life Orb Meowscarada, which, by the way, 32 to GK. Oh, dude.
Yeah, but that's where it mattered because like, if the Meow hit triple axle, it wasn't gonna be alive at this point.
There's that,
Right.
but also the Fortress would have been in range of Shadow Ball, so you never get your hazards up in the first place. Treads never has to take that
Yeah.
damage. It's a different game, right?
It is a different game, right? Because like Zarude was gonna be tough to handle, but yeah, I think it's just Wagen got a call right. Because if you think about it, maybe G King you try to save, but it's still tough because
You
every time Chiyu
can,
comes in,
yeah, you can mid ground to Slow King, but also like you were to it killed by Dark Pulse, which Dark Pulse was
yeah,
the obvious click. So it's like, are you gonna
yeah,
switch into the obvious button, or are you gonna predict
yeah.
the
It was
prediction?
it was always
It's
tough. Really. It
tough.
was always like yeah. It was always like either like you run Atro or you try to try to predict the Chiyu, right? Because if you get the read right, like Chiyu doesn't get anything.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the series is tied up 3-3 now,
Yep.
and now we have Joshua versus Undead, right?
Yeah.
On Josh. He's a funny guy, huh? Anyways, we have this like super balance with Torn, Tinglu, Jirachi, Spinner, Spin Blocker, and Dragonite. I mean, it's an interesting looking team, right? The whole idea is you get hazards up and you spin block, and you just kind of like knock things with Torn, knock off boots, and then Dragonite is like between Dragonite, Tinglu, and like AV Torn, nothing really, just is gonna instantly kill you. So you're generally able to outlast the majority of team structures, right?
That is definitely a PT's best draft in SRE.
Yeah. And then
Really
on
hard
your
to say.
side, you have this like honestly really unique looking thing. It's like Aloe flip turned into a bunch of threats, right? The Raging Bolt, the Okidoki, and the Gren, kind of a greedy
Yep.
trio there. Made
We had the
possible by
Landawai and
the
then Miss Mag that were
yeah
benched.
Tinkaton Aloe, just like that 2-mon defensive core. Really allows for a lot of offense, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was our best team. It went 6-2.
Yeah.
Well, not sure yet.
I'm just getting flashbacks now to the Porygon clicking the fucking Zap Cannon against this team. No.
Poor guy. Anyways, a lot of Terra Fairy it looks like in this match. We see Terra Fairy Torn, we see Terra Fairy Bolt. Right. Prep-wise here, I mean, Torn is always a rough matchup for Raging Bolt somehow, but there's a
Yeah.
Tinglu on
Torn
top
Tinglu
of it.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so Raging Bolt,
Yeah.
not exactly the strongest mon here. Like, yeah, and then Gren also has to deal with AV Torn and Tentacruel, so it's like your offense is kind of shut down pretty comfortably by Undead's team.
And it's hard to bring it to bring a bulky team too, right? Because you could, because if you bring fat, then you lose the fat game too, right? Because Nocturne.
Yeah, like Nocturne is like the king of long games. Then here, like U-turn does 30 to Rotom. That has to be banded, right?
Yeah, it was banded Grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then
Like to the
Charles
Mox,
comes in.
he kept catching like Torn leads off guard and like doing
Yeah.
like it was like a lower like the Terragrass Thorns.
Yeah, just banded gunk that thing and they just explode. But here's
Yeah,
sub
and that
nasty
set,
plot. Oh my god.
yep, that set was tough. Really strong set. Like it's already like not looking good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Tinglu, you go Charles. No, okay, but you force like so little progress while Undead's getting like a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
Really good early
You assume the
by Undead.
hazards are going up here. Yeah, rocks up. You just go Tentacruel because
Banded U-turn was free, right? But it's just like you needed the hazards. Chalris. Oh,
that's a good
that was
knockoff.
yeah, that was a good play by Undead.
I mean, getting rid of
I think at the
the
same time, if Cyclizar is sub, you can always spin, and like if Rotom comes in, you just sub on it, right? But I don't think you had like if you knock U-turn, you're not gonna be sub.
why are we talking about sub Cyclizar? That's not real, right?
Rotom, right? Because Rotom can't touch you,
Okay.
right? So you can't spin block. That's what I meant.
Okay. I see.
But you didn't have the move slots to fit it. Yeah. Yeah, and you're
Shed tail but stay in. Yeah.
yeah, basically.
But it turns out it
that
can
was a
spin
rough
block.
play.
Oh my god, he's so good.
Yeah, dude, Undead is outplaying Joshua so bad so far. Yep.
And the volt switch too. I mean, what else are you clicking there? That's a very basic play. But now Tinkaton goes down, no rocks. Oh man.
Yeah, and like Joshua basically has like
This guy can't
only
even
little
spell
progress.
Charles.
That was Chalores. That's why it's not going well.
This dumbass.
This
Yeah.
is so sad.
And then Tentacruel somehow has 600 defense EVs and takes 20 from an Okie Dokie. Alright, man.
It had no item though.
Well, I know, but like, still, it's Okie Dokie. And then comes in on the knock to get rocks up again, and the spinner's gone. You're just
I think
cooked.
it's tough because like Joshua basically can't like force pressure. Like it's just so hard this game. The Torn set was so good.
Yeah.
Right? What do you do at this point?
Oh no. But you have the Jirachi anyways.
Fair enough. You try to catch the double, right? For the
Yeah.
Jirachi, makes sense. Tentacruel's kind of done anyways, and here it's
You go
yep.
whenever the aloe comes in on a submon, it's like wow. Oh, and then it's eject button as well. The self goop never stops.
and are we getting another para? Yup,
Subbing
we're
to
subbing.
scout for U-turn makes sense.
Yep. Right. Even if you like, thing is, even if you don't,
Okay.
yeah.
Body
even if you
Slam
don't get-
Thunder is a vile set.
Yeah.
That is gross. And then now you just go Ting Lu probably. Oh, Ironhead there is really disrespectful. I don't like that play at all, but
Yeah.
no shame actually.
Yeah. It's just a slow burn, right? At this point,
Yeah.
Josh just wants to
It's just a
make it
Jimmy
over.
G game now.
Yeah.
One.
Like it's slow because you get like chip on bolt, right?
Yeah.
You get chip and like chip bolt is nowhere near as good, right? Bolt is good at full.
Like 10% here, 10% there. It adds up so fast on Bolt. Then Rotom in to drop the Eerie Impulse. Oh, that
Such good
yeah.
play. Shout outs to K Crick. Carrying Undead.
Yep.
There's really not much. Like,
You just get torn in, right? Yeah.
yeah. This balance score of like Torn, Ting Lu, Dragonite, it's so hard to beat. K Crick has this kind of team in seasonal, and I mock him every week. It's just
Yeah.
it's just so hard to break.
And Jedi gets a DD opportunity, goes for it again because it's an aloe. What's it gonna do? Healing Wishes into the Raging Bolt, so maybe this is Terra Fairy. It is able to HP trade at the Dragonite, but the thing is,
Nope.
the multi-scale is not broken. Well, never mind, it's Life Orb Dragonite, so shout out. So now Okie Dokie comes in, but you have a Rotom Sack. You just go into that. Reveals to lock into knockoff, so now Ting Lu comes in. No Earthquake resist, so it's just going to be a KO, right? Yep.
Yeah.
You actually have to save HP on the Ting Lu, which is funny enough.
The Demon Thorn set.
Yeah.
Demon Thorn, Demon Jirachi.
Mm-hmm.
Good Rotom to stop the Raging Bolt. Really good prep.
Yeah. And your Ting Lu just freaking lives CC.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Too good.
This game was like not as close as like the score indicated. Like I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Undead
There was no
outplayed,
point
like,
in the
all
game
time.
where Joshua ever really had a chance, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like,
As soon
like
as, the
turn
Thorn-
5.
As soon as the
Yeah.
As soon as the Torn like subbed up on Tinkaton, it was like, uh-oh.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We were like, uh-oh.
Stinky.
Yeah.
But anyways, so now they're actually up 4-3 on you. So this is a must-win
Yeah.
game for King of Crook
It's just to
against
go to
Glop.
tiebreak, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
You
like,
gotta
it was like our min bid guy Quinn versus like their 35K guy, right? So it's
yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
feel real good if you're PTE here.
yeah,
mean,
because they guaranteed tiebreakers at least.
yeah, they've already clinched. At least they're not out.
Yeah. So now like it was really a roller coaster of a week, right? We're up, we're down, we're up, we're down.
Yeah, sure. Just glaze me. Shout out Glop. All right. So this matchup here, I mean, Coco is kind of stopped pretty easily by Lando
Yeah.
and like multiple electric immunities.
Yeah. The main threat was Hydreigon. And Glop could just like pivot around. Like Glop's got so many pivots. He can just like pivot around all game.
Mm-hmm.
Thundy looks really tough to switch into.
It does.
But yeah, we expected like AV Mienshao because you can always like kind of take two and like stone edge it. So yeah, that's
The
yeah.
Mel.
It was really mainly the Hydreigon, right? Forcing pressure. Victini was tough, but like you have slow bro, you have Incineroar, like you should be able to hold it off like for a few like. Or
I
a
feel
few
like
times again.
Mel always has bad matchups these days. Like,
I know.
when's the last time you saw
I-
a good Mel Metal matchup?
I swear we didn't get a single good Metal matchup.
Yeah, like
I felt the same way
Core,
when we used
Victini,
it.
Swampert. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely not Metal season.
Yeah.
But when it has a good matchup, it's so broken.
Yeah, it's an insta win if
It's
you're
a
not
weird
well
mon.
prepared for it. So it's like people are forced to like draft with it in mind, but then they do that and it's just a useless mon.
Yeah. Kind of what happened there. I think this team, like this draft, like I think it had like 1 or 2 wins throughout the season.
Yeah.
It wasn't really doing much work.
We've seen this like similar structure, but that same structure had like a Weavile and a Blaceph there to like really carry the wall breaking. Like Melmetal wasn't the only offensive presence here. Like your other wall breaker is
Thundy's a good
Thundy T.
offensive presence.
It's
a good presence,
it's
but like
fine.
if you face Garchomp or Lando, like
yeah.
it becomes really tough, right?
The Melmetal, when we had it on band pictures, like the team was just so good. Like we had, it was our third best mon or whatever. Cause like we had Coco, we had Panda, we had Weavile, and we had Keldeo. Like it's really hard to make a good Melmetal team. I feel.
Yeah. Alright, Slowbro versus Swampert lead. Immediate Grass Knot, scouted by the Coco switch. Now, Lando obviously going to come in on the Coco, but reads that with a Toxic. I mean, not really exactly a read. Would have been fine on the Slowbro as well.
Yep.
And then we see a knockoff on the Scarf Swampert. Okay, what are we cooking here? So, Scarf Swampert is going to be like outspeeding Thundurus, which is like the main draw for it. So you pivot in on like a T-Bolt or something, and then you just flip turn.
Yeah, it's nice. It's also nice to catch like a bulky Lando off guard, right? Because bulky Lando would just like turn on it. So then you get flip turn, you get like what, like 40-50% on it.
Glass says this was huge. Paddock's and I thought it wouldn't be knock. This made the game way harder. I don't know why you think it wouldn't be knock. Like, you want to get rid of the Corv's item on a defensive Lando set. Like, it's pretty basic stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe you expect, like,
It could have
gravity.
been Glass Knot, right? And then U-turn. Yeah, that was a good weakness policy. It actually looks good for us early game, right? You get the strong
does,
surf,
and then no terrain as well, so you could just stay in.
Yep, but I don't. Yeah, it went for Ice Beam. I mean, it didn't really matter because Mienshao was always like, Mienshao was so fat, and the Slowbro wasn't psychic, so it was indefinitely walled by Mienshao, even at +2, right?
Even if you had Psychic, I don't think you click it there because of the Hydra.
Maybe he could have stayed. I don't know the rules. Maybe he could have stayed on Mienshao, right? Because Slowbro's pretty bulky, right? You probably don't die to U-turn.
Oh, weren't you?
Yeah,
like,
so now Glop's
31,
realizing that nothing really kills the Mienshao. Right. And
Spark.
So at this point, I think it became really tough.
Oh, here. This was like... You see this in Center Click U-turn? I don't know about you, but I'm thinking this is immediately in my head. This is 100% Scarf Incineroar.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
which is
because it's
crazy.
fast number two, right? It's not like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
bulky. Yeah, Rock was. Yeah, Rocks was good because the Glob's pivoting a lot. You want to punish.
26 is so absurd.
Oh, it does. It actually does a lot. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Slack off, and then Hydra can just like pick one, right? You don't
Yeah.
really pivot.
Yeah, sack the useless Melmetal. Shout out.
Yeah.
That guy did nothing, dude.
Was that AV? Because that was Life Orb Earth Power doing 52.
No, I think it was
Just
Aqua
Spadef.
Berry. I think it was Aqua.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And gets a defog for 80% of your Crobat. Alright.
It was really looking tough here.
Here, you
At
can
this
just
point,
go
we're
to the
like,
Mienshao.
yeah.
U-turn.
Like it's just like Glob just indefinitely pivots, and there's nothing
Yeah.
we can do unless
Oh, turns out there was something you could do.
Because like at this point I was like, yeah, season's over. I was in the end with like, yeah, season's over. I don't know
Yeah,
how he brings this back. And then he
GG's.
gets their freeze. I would be like, oh my god, right? Because like how does Quinn pressure out of Hydreigon, right? It's really hard. And
Oh,
then he made a crazy play.
Yeah. Psychics
Doing
on the
Coco. Now
Mienshao as well.
Glob started for Sludge Wave. I don't
No!
understand. I didn't.
It's trying to catch Victini, right?
Catch Victini, yeah. And then
Scouts for Grass Knot. Oh, we see a
he knows
Psychic
it's not
here.
Grass Knot, yeah. I feel like here you should always sub.
Oh, you had sub? Yeah, you need a
I
sub
don't
there.
understand why I don't understand why he didn't sub.
Yeah, you need a sub there. Now you take
Alright.
61 on your Thunderous.
Yeah, and now you're in range of Mienshao, and yeah, I don't.
There's no way Mienshao's
outside.
faster though, right? It took 26 from Surf.
I'm not sure.
There's no way that has any
That Torrent
speed
flip
EVs.
turn.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, Incineroar might be faster, right? Maybe try to win with like Scarf Incineroar.
Yeah, but like Coco could also just very comfortably just speed tie Crobat and call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's like Coco is the alpha threat in this endgame.
Yeah. Because your Thundy's weakened, your like you lost your Lando. But yeah, not subbing in Corviknight was definitely tough.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you run sub, like click it, right?
Yeah.
Because it was obvious Glop was scouting.
And it's also like, even if you were to sack something, it's not going to be the Corviknight. You're going to sack your Frozen Hydreigon. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
My Coco crept Scarf in Sin by 1. I didn't want to Volt and heal Thundy. Dude, he really does think of everything, huh?
He's so good.
So good, bro.
And here the roost comes off, and now, man, now it's just a Volt, and the game's over. Sacks Corviknight, and now, what, you just Volt into U-turn into Volt into U-turn, like, or Bolt Strike into Rain, that works too.
Watch.
You can use the Frozen Hydra, get an opportunity with Thun though. It's not an easy sack like Summer Plot. But then Goving Corviknight also allows these same things. So I don't know about that. And that's gonna be Trick of Eyes season over. And PTE moves on to the finals. So honestly, well played from them. A lot of these games were just...
back, right? Going down from 3-2 to 5-3.
Yeah, won the last 3 in a row, which was like big ups to them. Yeah, Glop might be a little weird. Anyways, guys, we got like 40 viewers here and only 6 likes. Oh my god.
Oh,
Can we
I'm
fix
gonna
that?
like it. I'm gonna like it.
Something might be broken.
One more like.
Anyways, if you're liking the game so far, which like these have been some pretty good games, go to like the stream. We got plenty more coming. We got another series, which is gonna be my team up against Drafting Under the Influence. Poor Honey. Yep. So, game 1 here. Now to set the scene, right? The last time we played in the regular season, it ended up in a tie between the two teams. So we already know it's going to be a great series. And we have Who here, who who was like 5-1, 6-1 going into this. Was it 5 and
No, he's
1?
5-2.
Oh, 5 and
He
2.
lost. He lost the 3D, and then he lost the last week.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, 5 and 2. Who going against Agent Flame, who was a mid-season pickup and is currently what, 4-0?
Undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah, 4-0 going into this game, or is it 3-0?
It might be 3-0, but I
think
know
it's
he was
3-0.
undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah, undefeated. Yeah. The way you turned 100 times was so tough. Yes, Glop, you're so sexy. Anyways, who has been using this Hydrapple Keldeo team, which is really cool, right? Kind of been 50-50 split on the Terras, right? Keldeo and Hydrapple. We've seen a lot more Terra Keldeo than you might expect. Then Meowscarada is like one of the Pokemon that really enables this kind of fat style. You have that fast revenge killer. It really allows you to, you know, lean into like the Mana Buzz, the Hydrapple. There's an Aloe on this team which is benched, but yeah, it enables all the fat stuff because if something subs on your Hydrapple, or like your, I guess your Alomomola would be the obvious example, you flip turn on it and then Meowscarada just comes in and U-turns and you break the sub and like
Those
you
are
have something to
a
deal
lot of
with
Ice
it.
Beak guys you can triple axle, right?
Yeah. So like the team works. I know he said the main problem with this team that he found was there's no like encore user, which is fair enough, but I think overall it's pretty solidly built anyways. And on the other side we have this team which is Urshifu. Was it Rapid Strike on this team? Yeah, it was Rapid Strike.
It was. Yeah.
So we had some big problems with Urshifu Rapid Strike opening up Hydrapple, because it's really hard to make a Hydrapple set that covers every single Urshifu set in the game. Like, you can be like Specs, which will Oko like not bulky Urshifu, but if it's like Spadef Urshifu with SD Drain Punch, Specs is bad. But then if you're Fizdef into like just offensive SD, you get 2-hit KO'd and you don't 2-hit KO'd, or you don't one-shot them, so you end up like, you know, it's not the greatest.
Yeah.
And
I
if
think
it's
you
like
want to bank like
boosting
it looks
item,
like if you Terra out of your water resist, and
Mhm.
Keldeo kind of just shreds the team.
It does, yeah. So that's like,
I'm sure you guys had some plan like this.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Specs Keldeo on this team, because it takes advantage of Corviknight really well, off of the back of Meowscarada U-turns, Treads Volt switches. These things tend to put it in range of Specs Keldeo. You can live a Brave Bird as well, so
Yeah.
even if you have
And
that,
the whatever resist is like it's Rapid Strike.
yeah, it literally 2-hit KO'd by Surf, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
Mandiba's able to keep several of these Pokemon in check, get like a slow U-turn, get a defog off, like stuff like Mew, the Pecharunt, for example. Mandiba's able to check them pretty reasonably. You can take a Toxic, it's not the end of the world, and you can U-turn into a threat, you know, Keldeo, for example. Or you could just go Iron Treads, right? Pecharunt, not the biggest threat in this specific game. I believe we're Clear Amulet on Treads as well to block Parting Shot. You might have changed that, but I know we had that at some point. Then Carbink was here because we were kind of getting really kind of dominated by Darkrai and Mox. So having Carbink as the Spadef guy, the Hazard Setter, it just makes sense here as the
It's also a nice
Darkrai
fodder,
stopgap.
right?
Yeah,
Versus bulky teams like this, Hypnosis Darkrai is so
it's
free because you
basically
can
a
like
KO,
miss
yeah.
and not get punished, right?
What's up, Cinerath? You just joined for the second series. And then Mew, before we played this team in the regular season, and it was this exact same matchup, but that time they had a Terra Mew, and we didn't have Mandibuzz. We had a Braviary instead. So this time the Mew is not Terra. It's actually Terra Pecharunt and Urshifu. So we're actually not scared of the Mew at all this time, which was super nice because our counterplay to Mew the last time was hoping he's not the set that 6-0s, which he wasn't, but that was our counterplay the first time these teams matched up against each other. So it's like kind of a soft rematch, but a few differences, right?
Yeah, the pilot was different and the
Mhm.
terrors are different.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think he played 3D, right?
He
The
did.
last time. Yeah.
All right. And yeah, so this is Terra Water Keldeo and Terra Water on the Hydrapple. So no matter what, we're getting a water type here. And then on the other side, there's Terra Water Petra, which means it's most likely going to be Nasty Plot, aimed at just trying to 1v1 stuff like Specs Keldeo. And basically, you can Nasty Plot and be Spadef, and between the base form and Terra Water, you kind of like wall everything. So if you have the freedom to choose what you're tearing against, Petra is really powerful in 1v1s for that reason. But going into it, we were expecting most likely the Urshifu is going to be the Terramon, just for the purposes of like breaking through Hydrapple. Talk to me in French from Gregulator. Bonjour, et la petite croissante.
Bonjour, Regulator, comment ça va? J'ai vraiment hâte de te voir.
Yeah, LoQP actually knows French. I took French for 2 years in high school and forgot all of it. We are not
Hey,
the same.
you know how to say bonjour?
Je m'appelle King L5.
Yeah, not bad.
Alright. So Treads leads off into the Corviknight. Probably just going to see a Volt Switch here. As Garchomp comes in on a knockoff, who never with a misstep, but removes the helmets. So that's really good for Meowscarada. And then Ice Spinner turn 2. I think he expected Rocks to go up, but instead the Treads just goes down immediately. So a really aggressive Earthquake there, because, I mean, the Mandibuzz was the most obvious play in that situation. So he calls the stay-in on the Ice Spinner. I guess she calls the stay-in on the Ice Spinner. And the Treads goes down, which is a big deal, right? Because now, who no longer has that spinner, and there's a Rocky Helmet Garchomp surely going to have spikes. So you have to up the tempo immediately when you see that. So Keldeo forced to come in and immediately going to Surf, which only does 27. So that leads me to believe this is AV or Shifu.
Yeah.
Just based on head
That's what it
counts.
looks like.
He just stays in and surfs again, as Close Combat does 75 to our Keldeo. So we're losing a lot of HP. But now, because of the -1 Spadef from CC, who is able to make the play of Terra Water and just knock out the Urshifu, which is a guaranteed knockout. The problem with this is we've expended our Terra, right? So Hydrapple is going to, continue to be weak to stuff like Ice Beam, Darkrai, Malignant Chain, Petrarent, for example. So it's like, what else are you really trying to do there? It's hard to make a play that's 100% correct here. So taking the KO, getting our Keldeo activated does make sense, but now it invites this Petrarent to Terra, and now Nasty Plot comes out and a Malignant Chain. So we are Endeavor on this thing, which is okay. Also eject button, shout out.
The classic stuff too.
Yeah. Alright, gets 2 for 2 on the poisons and gets whirlwinded out, but now our Manibuzz is weak and our Carbink is weak, and this Mew reveals to be like, I don't know what that is, like E-Belt or something. Regardless, it's offensive T-Bolt.
Yeah, that looked really tough from that point.
Yeah.
That was a good edge set.
Meowscarada gets a KO with the U-turn, and now Hydrapple comes in, but Corviknight is able to come in and just go for a taunt, covering something like a Nasty Plot. We end up being Yawn, and Draco Meteor with Eject Pack. So, Light Screen does go up, but here the Dragon Tail, and it's Rocky Helmet Corv, so now our Hydrapple's low, and Malignant Chain is actually going to pick us off. Don't really have much of a switch in here. Now Carbon comes in, goes for the Endeavor. Gonna bring this Petrarent low, which is like the one opening that we could potentially have. And rocks go up. Now we do live this next Malignant, I think, so the Endeavor is being threatened here. Darkrai comes in to absorb it. But at this point, the Petrarent escaping at 99% HP means that it's really tough, because this is an interesting turn of events. Is the last mock that Who did was against me, and I brought like Spadef, Nasty Plot, Terra Water, Petrarent, and it would have won if I didn't misplay in the mock, sadly. But then after that, he decided that he doesn't need Flower Trick on his Meowscarada, so he took that off. So now we just don't have a way to break Petronet at all, which kind of sucks. Here we hit a Hydro Pump to even the score down, but Petronet is able to come in, take a mere 48 from Hydro Pump, which is crazy, by the way.
Still does so much, yeah.
Yeah. But here we don't even have...
No Flower Trick was huge here, right?
Yeah, because Flower Trick, since this offensive Mew is a roll to 2 KO after rocks.
Yeah, Mew probably had coverage for this, or...
It probably did, but also it would have to be Ice Beam plus Vacuum Wave, or maybe like maybe E-Belt gets you across the line.
Yeah.
But just a raw Ice Beam wouldn't KO from 88. But we only have Throat Chop. Is Meow Scarfed? I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
The revenge kill stuff like Darkrai or +1 Guard Chomp after a Scale Shot, stuff like that. Yeah, we're just cooked to Petch. So we're down 0-1, which kind of sucks.
Yeah,
and now
kind of like somebody you expect to win, you know?
Yeah, he's been winning all season for us, so it's kind of tough.
I think Flame's 4-0 after this, right?
Yeah, 4-0, really well played. I mean, obviously, a few missteps from Who, I think, in the early game that made it hard to recover from, but Agent Flame just doing a good job taking advantage of those.
Yeah, the Terra Water Patch run was always going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Our set was one of the sets that did win, revealed E-Belt with those rolls. Oh, did it? I mean, either way, yeah, I'd rather have the Flower Trick there.
Yeah.
Anyways, Lucas versus Panda. Lucas has been around for a few years at this point. Kind of broke onto the scene when SV dropped, right? And since then, he's kind of been the Raging Bolt guy, I like to say. He just finds a way to use Raging Bolt every tour he's in, it seems like. And I know going into the season, he was like, I'm kind of tired of Raging Bolt, so if we could get something else, that would be awesome, and I could pilot that for the majority of the season. And then he ends up, yeah, he ends up on the Raging Bolt anyways. So,
but he usually runs Raging Bolt and Fat.
Yeah,
what I've noticed.
And this is exactly that kind of style, right? Tinglu, Corviknight, Jirachi, double steal with a Petronet spin block. Yeah, and then Weavile as like the anti-offense kind of like revenge killer.
Yeah.
Really great stuff.
I don't like the draft he's using. It feels like it has like 6 mons that do nothing, and then like you're relying on Weavile or Bolt to win like every game.
I think that it's just highly predictable, right? Because all the mons kind of the play style of this draft, you don't have much flexibility, right? Because it's going to be Hazard Stack plus Petronet.
Yeah, it is kind of telegraphed what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good strategy, right?
Yeah. And then on the other side, Panda, this guy, I mean, he's been doing really well recently in stuff like World Cup. He won that. And then also, he had some really strong performances with DCL. He also won that. So he won the last 2 Smogon events. So, really cool stuff.
3 and 3?
Yep. The GOAT.
We'll see.
These guys love Glamora, by the way. You're going to see a lot of Glamora this series. Is Panda's custom avatar from DCL? Yes, it's the Infernal Armory. Winning World Cup beast. Yeah. It's fine because Tinglu can do 300% so long as they don't have a regen mon or poison heal mon. Uh-oh. Yeah, we did face Gliscor a few times with our Tinglu draft, which is unfortunate, but what can you do about that? I don't actually remember too much about these sets. Throughout the season, mostly Genius has been the one helping Lucas out, and then I've been helping some other slots, but I believe this was Terra Fire Raging Bolt for a long time, and then Terra Ghost were the ones that we were testing, if I remember correctly. This was like a week ago, so forgive me if I'm wrong. And then Corviknight was just kind of like, you turn into Weavile, and that was like really hard to stop in mocks, where like the Corviknight coming in on Gliscor, because Gliscor comes in for free on Tinglu. So the sequence that played out was Tinglu comes in, set a hazard as Gliscor comes in, as they either trade a hazard or, you know, knock off the Corviknight, and then the next turn, they probably are taunting or something as the Corviknight U-turns into Weavile, and then Weavile versus this team is really, really powerful. There's no long-term answer to it, outside of maybe physically defensive, like defensive Terra Hydrapple, which, like, there's other things that can take advantage of that. So Weavile was like the #1 progress maker for this team, as usual. And so that was our general game plan, right? Get hazards up, get Weavile in like 10 times in a row, and eventually it will break through. And yeah, we did end up being the Ghost on the Raging Bolt. On the other side, it is Electric on the Hydrapple and Normal on the Gliscor. Alright, get into it. Petrunt versus the Glamora lead. Immediately don't want to get Corrosion Toxic, so we go into Tinglu, which is Rest, I believe.
Yeah.
So able to
Bro,
absorb
it feels like every
toxic.
game there's a mon that's nicknamed J-Scare.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it's the Poison type because he's so toxic. And here's exactly what I was talking about, right? The spike goes up, Corviknight comes in on a knockoff, and then here you probably gonna see, yeah, another knockoff, pretty reasonable, but now you turn into Weavile, and now we can just triple Axle, and nothing wants to take it. The opposing Weavile comes in on a sub. Okay, we could also sub, yeah, to like scout like the Jirachi coming in potentially on a triple Axle. But here, it reveals to be low sweep Weavile, and we knock off, which was really sad to watch because it's pickpocket Weavile. We lose our boots. He keeps his boots because he stole ours, and now once rocks go up, our progress maker that's supposed to come in 10 times in a row, it can't do it anymore.
Like, was he like Ice Shard last?
It was
I think it was Sub XD, right?
No, it was Nox Shard, Axel, I'm pretty sure. I don't think we had SD.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like really bad. I can't understate how bad that is for us. But here, Panda donates his Weavile, so
yeah.
so it's like, okay, sure.
Bro, I swear Panda doesn't like to switch out.
He just doesn't like switching. I get it. But now the rocks are going up from this Glamora, and like now our Weavile's on a timer. I guess spikes, yeah. Is it like Rocks Gliscor maybe? Maybe Rocks Jirachi. Oh, it's Rocks Jirachi, I remember. Like now our Weavile, okay, we double it in on Hydrapple, force the Terra, and spit F Petron at 24. LMFAO. Now parting shots on the Glamora, so able to keep up a little bit of offensive pressure going into Raging Bolt and Terra Ghosting. We do this to like weaken it down because we have Healing Wish for round 2 on the Raging Bolt. That's like kind of the game plan as well. But here like max spit F Gliscor with a Toxic on Raging Bolt and the threat of knockoff, it's like too much to stay in. And then sub as well, like this is hard to deal with.
This has been putting in so much work this DPL season.
It has, yeah.
It's felt like almost. It felt over like once Weavile lost its boots.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
And then we missed triple Axle, which, if I'm being completely honest, didn't matter. It's very regened off.
Yeah.
So Petron comes in, gets it back up to full, but Jirachi comes in to set the rocks. And now, does Corviknight just defog here? I don't think we have defog. Yeah, we don't have defog because we're like boot spam. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like boot spam plus hazards Tinglu.
I guess that's one thing about this team, right? You probably want a spinner over a defogger, right? Because if you want to...
Yeah, the main problem is all the good ones were taken, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's like barely any good spinners in this.
Who do you think is better, Mesprit or Uxie? For the points, I'd rather have Mesprit. And then Weavile uses up its last switch in here. And what, you just knock off the Hydrapple coming in? But no, knocks off the Valiant instead. So now he saves the Weavile, so this lets you know that he's probably planning on Healing Wishing the Weavile instead of the Raging Bolt. So there is that. Corv has Fog. I mean, it doesn't in this game. Like, we didn't bring Fog, that's what I meant.
Yeah, he's not running.
Yeah, and now... I was so shocked to see no removal this game. I mean, we have, like, mono boots, basically. It's, like, 4 boots mons. I guess 3, huh? But, like, one of them spike.
I mean, it's tough because, like, Panda has, like, some good knockers, too, right?
Don't you know it? Yeah. Just going for a very careless knock when you know it's pickpocket. Yeah, I think that knock was definitely ambitious. I know what he was trying to do. He thought the Weavile would switch out fearing like a low kick or something. And he wanted to catch like a Jirachi or a Hydrapple pivot in, but at the same time, you know, triple axle into a non-revealed like helmet, like it ended up not being helmet anyways. Like that's what he was fearing, was triple axle into a helmet after a sub, then you end up at like super low HP. But yeah. Panda has some good what? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it was only able to pickpocket because it got knocked.
Yeah.
Like, if you triple axle, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and triple
feel like-
axle 2-hit KOs the opposing Weavile. Like, it's not a long-term solution for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, in this endgame, so the important thing is that Raging Bolt is a threat so long as this Gliscor remains low HP. Because we saw, like, some HP trades to get the Gliscor down to 27, which was, like, a really big deal. And then now a Wish is in the air. So the Ting Lu is kind of forced to go for a Whirlwind. And now you're going to see the Gliscor's back up to full. And that was like,
Yeah.
like dagger through the heart and twist it.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel
That
like
really
Panda
sucked.
would win in anyway, to be honest.
He was,
It
for
felt
sure.
so tough to win this.
but like there was
But,
definitely some
yeah.
counterplay at least. And now it's like, man, frick me. So now Jirachi comes in,
And it's forced to heal in with, right? Oh,
but it's
and the
fast Gliscor. How is it max Spadef, but also faster than our Jirachi? I just don't get it.
Gliscor has too much stats.
Yeah.
Gliscor's you don't know, but Gliscor's a cover legend of Gen 10.
It's a GSC Gliscor, which, by the way, Gliscor and GSC would be so broken. Oh my god.
Yeah, Gliscor's so good.
So here again, we have to go through the Petrorunt weakening it with Hex for like a net, what, 19%? I guess 21.
Yeah, Val just wins at this point.
Net 23, but
Nice.
and now a Wish just
Nice.
goes in the air, right? Yeah. That's actually healing Wishes, but the Glim is back up to full as a cost. And he healing Wishes the Weavile, and then like tries. Oh, it was SD last. My bad.
Yeah, I thought so.
But then like you have to bank on a choke at this point or something, and even then there's like Vacuum Wave Valiant, so it's like it's never won in this position.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Amy? How's it going? Any life updates? I feel like a lot of new months and GSC would be broken. Who's to say? Who's to say?
We need Petra on Aloe and GSC.
Oh, you have a date.
Oh,
Nice.
epic.
Huge.
Alright, so now we're down 0-2 in the series. This is so sad. Gliscor and GSC is like giving a warhead to a Victorian child. That's kind of raw, I'm not gonna lie.
Tough.
Alright, so I have game 3, which is gonna be Gypsy King versus J Scurf. Any J Scurf fans, avert your eyes, because this was a beatdown, I'm not gonna lie. So, yeah, this matchup is something that we were quite confident in when picking the teams. Like, this team that we had, it was actually winless going into this. Like, it was like 0-3, but we knew that the matchups into DUI specifically were quite good.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
spoilers, not cool.
I remember this matchup.
Yeah.
Like, T-Spice is so free against this team, and you have a Jigauji, so first you have to prep for that. Crest and Torn kind of like shut down their Mega Gallade, and then Crest Klefki into KB is really tough, right? So at this point, like, double steal into Togex is really hard to break for J Scurf here. Like, he didn't really have many options.
Yeah. Also, Your Dunk is just lying in my chat. because the Boas game was our Mega Venu team.
Yeah.
Stupid idiot ear dunk. Classic.
Oh,
But anyways,
what's up, agency?
So-
And we're glad you had a great prom.
yeah, that's awesome. The thing with Gypsy King though is watching his games, I actually don't know what the sets are because he has like 17 pace every week, and I don't I don't know which one he's bringing to the game. Yeah, we do have two crest
Well-
teams. Yep.
They have double crest, double torn, like double crook.
Yeah. They picked up crest on this team at mids. Yes, we did over Bronzong. Because
Yeah,
originally it was triple
is definitely
steal.
overcooked. Yeah.
Hey man. Alright. Kieran Black leads into the Crook. So with the Intimidate, we're able to go crest and there's nothing that he can do against us. Yeah, Life Orb Ice Beam to 24 by the way. And then we're Lumberry for Toxic. And I believe this is Recycle as well. So this crest just is immune to status basically.
This is a really cool set. I saw Gypsy run that a few times
Yeah.
this season. It's a really, really cool set.
And Empoleon comes in on the Bisharp, which takes a lot, but Scald comes out. Do we get the burn? We do get the burn, which is nice.
Yeah, the burn was just because Bisharp's like one of the bigger threats this game, right?
Yes and no, right? Because it's also kind of like a free Torn every time, if I'm being honest. Maybe not like every time, but like Torn comes in on Bisharp quite a lot.
What else do you have? At least this guy forces pressure, you know. Good pursuit can
Yeah.
protect.
And then goes
As a juice
Crook.
protect.
Goat. And we keep the Rocky Helmet because Knock died from recoil.
That was a good play.
Yeah. And now Donphan comes in to trade rocks, but the plan was always to just trade HP on the ground types.
Yeah, then Gillade looks crazy.
Yeah, with Rocky Helmet, you're able to like maintain rocks up, and now Torn comes in because Earthquake is the only click in that situation. And Torn able to finish off the Donphan with leftovers. Another interesting thing about this game, they benched Mega Gallade. Just
Yeah. I think Mega Gallade really doesn't have much offensive pressure into this. Right?
yeah, it's like
It's really
Torn,
hard to...
Cresselia, and then Klefki as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it's really
It's
tough.
also Gypsy's shown to run a lot of Scarf Crook this season.
Yes.
Most of his games it was Scarf Crook.
Mm-hmm.
So then what do, right? You tie the Gallade, you get T-Way like it's probably like top 5, top 3 like worst Mega Gallade matchup, right?
Yeah,
right
low-key.
next to Mega Sableye.
My booty S team and screens Raikou. Yeah, they're actually addicted. I'm not gonna lie. They're actually so addicted.
Oh my god.
Scizor comes in with the screens up with the Lunar Dance Crest, able to bring the Empoleon back from the dead. And now Gallade switches in on Scizor on the superpower, which does 43 by the way. Oh my god.
So
But
much
now-
damage.
That's crazy, huh?
The Gallade reveals Wisp, which cancels out the Sword Stance basically. And now Drain Punch with -1 defense is able to basically just 1v1 this thing raw. Another Sword Stance comes out, but maybe a little bit overzealous there because it's not going to KO. W screens. Alright, Raikou comes in to finish off the Gallade, but not really forced to sack it at this point. You have a Crook that is a little bit more useless.
Screens didn't do much here, right? Because like Gypsy relied on status a lot, so screens or no screens, like he was getting his chip, like the
Yeah.
same chip. But
And-
it feels like UI ran that a lot this season. Like they ran screens with like not much to abuse it.
Screens with no like main setup guy. It's just we
Right.
want to take less damage for the next 8 turns.
Yeah,
Which,
right.
like, fair enough,
You want
but
to take
also-
less Will-O-Wisp damage, you know?
I mean, to be fair, here it was SD Scizor trying to set up on screens, so like the theory's there.
Yeah, fair enough, right? But that's like one guy, right?
Yeah.
You also just raw superpower, so if you screens, might as well just like go for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Now here you just sack Raikou, or I was gonna say Gallade, but you have Protect, so the Raikou goes down. Now Togekiss comes in, takes rocks, but Light Screen is still up, so Flash Cannon not gonna do too much. Yeah, only 30%. So you're saying there's a
Dude, it's funny
chance.
how like you see
from
an I
Scarf
love chubby
Togekiss.
girls comment in all games. Just always I love chubby girls in the chat.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lop.
Yeah. And there's the T-Wave, so Togekiss can no longer win. Shout out. And
Yeah,
that's gonna be the game.
very dominant game by Gypsy. Just in control.
Yeah.
So what's the score now? 2-1?
Yeah, 2-1 for DUI. And now we have Jay Ricky, the Citrus Berry Farmer, up against ID Cup. So ID Cup coming from DFL, obviously having a great season there. I think he's like pretty reasonable here as well. But anyways, he's using this like Tusk Darkrai kind of team. They have Terra on the Iron Crown and the Ceruledge, another Glamora, because this team's just addicted to Glamora, and then a Serperior, which Serperior is the main thing stopping our Raging Bolt, so it makes sense that it came here. Alright. What was our prep here?
SDBP did kill the Gallade.
It didn't kill.
Because Mega adds a lot of defense.
Yeah, you're saying, but if it did, because we were very bulky on the Glade.
Yeah.
But no, we had a bulky Torn as well to revenge kill. That would have been fine.
Like, you had to get 2 SDs off and hope for a Willow Miss.
Wait, my comment there was wild. What did you say? Sir, a second Empoleon is at the field. Yeah, you're crazy for that. Anyways, this was like defensive Crocodile. I believe we had Scarf Goldango. I don't know if we changed it right before or not. I know we were talking about it, but we had Scarf Goldango for most of the week. Cinderace, I don't remember. I don't remember what it was. The Valiant, I think, was Life Orb with a Vacuum Wave. Or was it Speed Booster?
It was,
I think it was.
I think it was
I thought
SD.
you brought. Yeah, I think you brought SD this week.
Yeah.
Oh
Life
yeah,
Orb.
it was SD Speed Booster or Attack Booster.
It might have been attack booster.
No,
Or
Speed
Life
Speed
Orb.
Booster
It was
makes
something
sense.
like that. I don't know.
No, I think we're thinking of week 7. Yeah, we're
We'll see.
thinking of week 7. We'll see. It might be SD again. Who knows? And there's a Swallow out here because Glamora T-Spikes are annoying. Terra Electric Raging Bolt for the power boost. And then on the other side we see Terra Fairy and Terra Ground on Ceruledge and Iron Crown respectively. Alright, Cinderace lead into Glamora. Can just go for a Zen Headbutt. If it was Sash, so the T-Spikes goes up, and a Sludge Bomb is going to put us very low. But now, what? Ceruledge comes in, takes 45 from Zen. Good chip. And now Swallow able to come in, absorb the T-Spikes, take a burn, but not the end of the world. It is, after all, just a Swallow up. And now we get a Toxic on the Speed Booster Great Tusk, which is a big deal. Love to see that. Now Crocodile, the answer to Tusk, as Earthquake crits and does 48%. So yeah, now we see a knockoff on the Rocky Helmet as I believe rocks go up. No, we roar. And Darkrai comes in. So that forces us out into the Swalot, which I believe was Spadef here. And now Great Tusk comes right back in. But the double to Crook calls that
You're
switch.
good.
And here I thought he was going to get rocks up here, but just goes for an Earthquake. Doesn't want the Glamora to come in before rocks, I think, was the idea behind that. But now Goldango
Makes
comes
sense.
in on the Leaf Storm, and it's Light Screen Serperior. But the thing is, okay, I remember, we changed it to a Spadef Goldango. Or maybe it was Spadef the whole time, who's to say? I'm pretty sure it was Scarf in our mock that I did, but that was earlier in the week. Either way. So Serperior, I mean...
What? What was that?
An excellent entry point for Crocodile, as they say, and free rocks.
And
Yeah.
it killed the Glamora.
Yep. And now Cinderace comes in. Can just go for a U-turn, I think, here, pretty safely. Acrobatics, though. Okay, so it's a no item Cinderace, yeah. Able to actually just KO Great Tusk is the idea there. But now Swallow gonna be sacked off to the Darkrai, but it's Custap Berry with Thunder Wave. Hell yeah.
That's such a good swallow.
Yeah. Actually kind of insane performance from it.
Yeah.
And then it reveals actually to
Doing
be AV on Darkrai. So able
Doing
to
better
take the
than the
Draco.
non-fans we've seen today.
Way better. Yep. And
That's
now
a cool
this is an
Darkrai.
interesting turn here because the Great Tusk, if it comes in on an electric move, Earthquake will basically just be a KO or Big Chip on the Valiant. So there is that, but also it's really hard to go Great Tusk here because a Draco Meteor definitely could come out. So I believe IDCup was just trying to sack the Darkrai to get a free Great Tusk entry point, but we revealed a Volt Switch last turn, which I think was a major problem for them. Yeah, and then Acrobatics is just a KO.
Yeah.
Now Iron Crown comes in. It is Terra Ground, so it is able to set up for free here. It is Booster Special Attack with Agility. Right, Raging Bolt though, I believe this was Assault Vest.
It's gonna be Dragon Tail. Yep.
Yeah.
That was an obvious Dragon Tail.
Yep, Goat. He's prepared for everything. How?
Yeah.
And then Light Screen on Cerulege is crazy.
And
Valiant comes in, it is Booster Speed, and it is Sword Stance. Okay. Yeah.
Wasted light screen.
Yeah. Yeah. And now at this point, Valiant just sweeps, I think, right? CC
Yeah.
twice.
The thing is that the Cerulege just gonna Will-O-Wisp, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but the thing is, if it Will-O-Wisp, you just Sword Stance again. Like, nothing is lost.
It's over. Yeah.
He's still effectively +1 Valiant after 2 Sword Stance and a burn, which is enough to KO everything on the field. So he just had the end game wrapped up anyways.
And
once the crown got roared out, it was over.
Yeah, he was like all in on
it
the crown.
Wasn't killing,
there.
right? It wasn't gonna kill anyways. So
you know, we were AV on Bolt, so yeah. So that evens up the series 2-2. And then we have my game up against Blitz, aka Your Dunk Touched Me. Very creative username.
He's so dumb for that. You know?
Alright. So this is a team where it's like, okay, you have Meowscarada and Torrentee. That's kind of broken, no? Good news though, I do have Rotom Wash, which is a good counter Meowscarada in this matchup, for reasons that I'll explain in a moment. Alright, so look at my Dragonite and look at his team. I'll tell you my set. It is Inner Focus Life Orb. So the Lando can't intimidate me. And here's the thing, right? Adamant Life Orb +1 E-Speed kills Meowscarada after rocks. It's just dead. So my whole game plan here was to try to get rocks up and then win with Dragonite. So
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
+1 just kills everything. The only chip that I need is like 20% on like a fat Lano T and 30% on Conk. Like if I have those things and rocks up, +1 will just win the game. So that's what I'm going for. What's that?
Good bring Inner Focus.
Yeah, it's like prevents the Lando from coming in and pivoting out, and then the Life Orb boost is really, really impactful on a lot of rolls here. So there's that. My Rotom Wash is going to be Rocky Helmet as well. Just max Fizdef, Hydro Volts. I believe I'm T-Wave and Pain Split. T-Wave is nice to catch like an AV Torn. Something like that makes it much less able to check my Iron Crown and my Darkrai. So that's a good thing. And then, let's see, my Great Tusk is Assault Vest Terra Steel. This is as like a general Meowscarada check. Flying Resist for the Torn. I thought Heat Wave was like somewhat unlikely here. You'd rather be Knockoff into my team for the Iron Crown. And then also like Steel, you get the boost on Heavy Slam, which is like useful for some mid grounds for the most part. I did also test Terra Poison, which was really nice at 1v1ing Conk, but I found that Terra Steel gave me another Iron Crown check, which, you know, it's really hard to check Iron Crown out for my team. Like, my resist is my own crown, which, you know, they're both setup fodder for each other, so it's really a toss-up on who comes out on top in that matchup, so. having the AV Tusk allows me to have some breathing room there, which is nice. My Darkrai is going to be Nasty Plot with Rocky Helmet, so another helmet user. Another useful calc is that Meowscarada taking Rock's Helmet and then Rocks is in range of neutral E-Speed. So that's why I have so many helmets and why I'm okay with switching Rotom Wash into Meowscarada. Because either they U-turn and they take that helmet that I want for the Dragonite calc, or they Flower Trick, they lock into it because I'm like so confident this is going to be choiced Meow. Then I get my free DD on the Flower Trick lock and I win the game in like most situations. So I was really okay using Rotom Wash as my Meow check. My Iron Crown is going to be Weakness Policy with Agility, Calm Mind, I think Stored Power, and Tachyon Cutter. I went Stored Power because Tachyon just kind of covers everything, so I don't really need the immediate power of like Psychic. Actually, no. I think I thought about Stored Power, but I ended up being Psyshock. So actually, I did just lie to you 2 seconds ago. Psyshock is there to 1v1 opposing like Calm Mind Crown, which like it's a 4x resist, but if we're going to +6, you know, could be useful. I didn't really want to rely on Focus Blast necessarily. So Psyshock also is able to check something like an AV Conkeldurr, you know, which is pretty possible into stuff like Darkrai. So yeah, that was my Iron Cressa, and then the Mesprit is just going to be Rocks Healing Wish Screens. Pretty basic stuff. Main threats on this team were obviously AV Torn was a nightmare in Mox, just having infinite HP to just knock U-turn, eventually chips things down. Lando T usually was Rocky Helmet in Mox, just aimed at switching it on Great Tusk. Conkeldurr, we saw some Fizdef, some AV, depending on if they were more scared of the Darkrai or the Tusk. And then Torn was like pretty much always Assault Vest in Mox. Meowscarada was almost always Scarf or Banded. And then the Crown was like usually it was going to be something like something Setup or AV, one of those two. I mean, those are the two best Crown sets, so it makes sense. I like how Life Orb D-Knight went from a mega trolling set to very common now. I mean, I think it's still generally trolling, but here it makes so much sense because of several like rolls that happen. And then Glamora, usually it was just going to be bulky, just aimed at checking stuff like the Darkrai, and Salazzle as well, which was on my bench. So let's get into the game. He ended up being Terra Dark Torn, which makes a lot of sense in my team's double Psychic. You power up your knockoffs into the Rotom Wash, it's a good defensive type, into Darkrai, makes a lot of sense. Now immediately gets rid of the helmet on my Rotom as I go for a T-Wave, but it ends up being Lumberry. So at least it's not AV, but then it reveals Taunt on my second T-Wave. So
Yeah, that was a really good turn set.
yeah. And I Volt Switch, get a crit, which is nice. I get my Tusk in. He switches into Conkeldurr. I go for an Ice Spinner because, you know, Lando felt like the most obvious play. He reveals to be Max Defense Conkeldurr. Right. Then I go into Rotom Wash as they double to Torn. And they U-turn. I believe I Pain Split in this turn. Do I? No, I Volt Switch because I'm ass. And then this turn, this turn I Pain Split.
I feel like the first like 15 turns all went to Blitz.
Yeah. So here U-turns back into Lando on another Volt Switch. Like, okay, bro, you got me. Congratulations.
I think the play was like what, like always like Pain Split on Lando and Hydro onto Torn, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like, or maybe reverse shot, something like that.
Yeah, here I definitely like maybe got in my own head a little bit about that, and then, you know, he was also in my head, so it's what it is. My Rotom doesn't get a whole lot done in this game, unfortunately, so it's just a rock sack at this point.
And that Bolt Switch there is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I would say that behind.
Yeah, Ice Spinner again into the Conk and double to my Rotom to sack it, but they go Torn, which like I don't want to stack to the Torn. So I go Great Tusk, get my AV knocked off, and then another Ice Spinner in the Conk. Yo, I'm ass. Like
the Citrus Berry.
Yeah, shout out J Ricky. Then Lando comes in, I finally sacked my Rotom. And now what, Torn just comes in.
And
and
Torn and
Tusk comes in.
at full tough.
Here they just stay in because they live headlong, and it's pretty unlikely to be CC in this matchup. Here I believe I just headlong again because he's shown Conch Elder to be the switch in several times. And so now Mesprit comes in as they double to Torn. Now I actually have no attacking move on this Mesprit, so I'm like, he's not taunting. And then here I'm like, he's not taunting again. So here I get my Reflect up, and I get my Healing Wish. And this is like pretty much the perfect situation, right? Rocks are up, the Conch Elder's chipped, I'm inner focus for the Lando, and everything's in range of my +1 D-Knight. So I go D-Knight, I have my Reflect up, I get my DD, and...
He crits.
Yikes. Oh.
That's why you run multi-scale, bro.
Yeah, but even multi-scale wouldn't have been enough there. Like, I would have lived, but taking that crit Ice Punch, it's not really recoverable either way.
Unfortunate, yeah.
So, I kind of wanted that guy, I'm not gonna lie.
It would have killed this, and then I think he'd forged into the Glamora because it would balloon. You would have popped
Glamora, I mean, yeah, Glamora, if I pop the balloon with Dragon Claw, which, by the way, is gonna almost kill after rocks, even though he's max defense, then, you know, my Healing Wish is still in the air, my Tusk becomes really, really powerful in the end game.
Yeah.
And then I still have Crown as well to set up on Glamora. So, like, the setup chain continues, where my Crown comes in on the Glamora. I can set up, and, like, what does he even do versus Crown? Like, he goes Lando, but I have Reflect up and I'm Weakness Policy. So that's not even a good play. So it's like, here I get my Crown in, I go for Agility. He goes for a Taunt, which, like, unlucky, right? I mean, I knew he had Taunt, but I need to get the Agility off. And Reflect goes down. Torn comes in. He can just U-turn here to put me in range of Lando EQ guaranteed. And he reveals to be like Assault Vest Lando or something. Yeah, because that's so little damage. Wow. But here, I still have the Healing Wish in the air, which is pretty crucial here. My Darkrai comes out here. I just Ice Beam into the Lando. As Crown comes in, it's booster speed. But I can just Dark Pulse this and knock it out. No problem. So now Meowscarada comes in. It is Scarf, so it's going to go for a U-turn and knock out my Darkrai. But now, he goes Torn. But Torn allows me to go into my Great Tusk, get the Healing Wish, and spin. And Bleakwind's doing 20. So I spin. I'm going to spin again, I'm pretty sure. So I get +2 speed, which potentially could outspeed the Meowscarada. And Lando dies to Ice Spinner. So Glamora, if it dies to Heavy Slam, because it is Air Balloon here. If Glamora dies to Heavy Slam, I just win the game. So it's kind of a crazy fumble on his end to let it get this close from that position. Because I am Heavy Slam, it's base 120 power, but he's like max defense Glamora. So it is able to chew anyways.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, how does that do so little? I'm intimidated,
that's where the
but, like...
That's where the D-Knight scenario
exactly.
was important, right? Yeah.
It's like one of two things, right? The D-Knight either forces the balloon pop, or it forces the booster crown to be used up early. And either way, I have really good continuations, because this whole team is built around Dragonite sets up, and it either wins, or the things that do check it, like the niche things that do check it, allow setup on everything else. So it's like, I feel like I played well enough to win here, and it was kind of robbed of me. It would have been a different game, obviously. Like, sure, there's room for outplay on Blitz's end, but I felt like I had the sequence down, even though the early game was like a lot of like incorrect predictions on my part, like the Volt switches on Lando, all that. I feel like I still had a solid position with the Dragonite to potentially win the game. It just was taken from me. Unfortunate. He played well, like, obviously, but yeah, unlucky. We move on. Alright, so now we have Craig versus Carson. You felt like you were ahead and then threw all momentum by not taunting the Mesprit because I got ahead of myself. Yeah, you kind of let me get back in the game there. Fortunately wasn't enough. Shout out to Ice Punch Crit. So this is Carson versus 100p. Both of them are having really fantastic seasons. Carson is 6-0 going into this. 100p is 6-1, I believe. So truly a clash of titans. And then Craig is using this like... This team's kind of weird because the water resist is Quillfish, and we have like multiple Keldeo drafts, so immediately Keldeo is like the alpha threat. So this team is kind of built around giving Keldeo as many turns as possible. It's stuff like U-turn Torn, I believe, eject button Snorlax, U-turn Scizor obviously, and just get Keldeo in and surf like at least 5 times in this game. Alright, so let's look at the... Let's see, what else do we have here? Nidoking, I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was it Sash? I think it was Sash. So you can trade into the Lando. Yeah. And then Necrozma. Necrozma was, I actually don't remember. We'll find out in the game. Let's see, Raikou versus Keldeo lead. This is like the only thing that stops Keldeo from picking one immediately. But our plan into this was Snorlax eject button into the Nidoking. And then now we have a Sash Nidoking basically as a lead slot into Raikou. So it basically works out. But here they reveal like super Spadef Mew, like 600 Spadef EVs on the Mew. And that means that we're faster and can rock, not fearing any taunt or anything. So Rock's traded, and now Scizor comes in on a Volt Switch. So a really nice Volt Switch play there on the ground type switching out. Now Scrafty gets to come in, and we U-turn on that. But it is Rocky Helmet, so Scizor ends up being very low already, and Nidoking comes in on the knockoff. But Mew can come in on this like basically for free. Very little that we can do about it. So it goes for the Earth Power and now goes into Snorlax as the Roost is going to come off. Now Snorlax is kind of a threat here, but Rocky Helmet Scrafty with Intimidate is able to neutralize it pretty comfortably, but we do get a Toxic off on it, which is pretty nice progress. Now Celesteal is going to come in, covers the Snorlax staying in, as well as, the Nidoking coming in, so it's a great mid-ground play from 100p. We do have Fire Blast, we get a nice crit there. Heavy Slam's going to knock us out, gets the Spadef boost, so really impactful chip there. Now Keldeo comes in, goes for a Surf. Now the problem is, I'm pretty sure Surf is a roll here on 33% Celesteela, but we get a high roll, so season saved, shout out. If a Leech Seed went off there, we'd be so cooked. But yeah, Raikou comes in, goes for a Volt Switch with Rocks up, Snorlax is getting very low. Now Quillfish is going to come in and probably set up a Spike. Yeah, Spikes go up and trades for some EQ chip, but this Spike is going to be pretty impactful because now you have Raikou, which forces a lot of switches naturally versus our team, and now you have like 3 layers up. It's going to be really hard to deal with. Yeah. And Boots Raikou is not even getting worn down from our own rocks, so Snorlax does go down. Now Scizor comes in. I mean, we're Scarf Scizor, but you can't exactly Oko this.
Yeah.
But it's Scarf Defog, so gets rid of the hazards at least. That's nice. Now Necrozma comes in on the Raikou, and what do we click here? Oh right, this was Meteor Beam. Or was it? Oh no, did we change it? It was Toxic
I don't
Necrozma.
think you're... Yeah, I don't think you're Meteor Beam toxic.
Yeah, I know in some mocks we had Meteor Beam Heat Wave as our way of like chipping down the Scrafty. Alright, so now our Necrozma is kind of forced to take a Toxic. And Heat Wave is going to bring the Scrafty in range of Toxic, but Super Fang going to be really annoying. Okay, Rocky Helmet. Yeah, so it's just a bulky Necrozma. And now Rock Polish Lando is like pretty dangerous in this endgame. So Photon Geyser for 65%. Pretty good chip. But now +2 Lando. We're going to have to check this somehow. And we have a few options, right? You can go Scizor and Bullet Punch, which is a roll in 100p's favor. Or you can go Torn, which is Charty Berry, and you can try to hit a Hurricane. He goes for Torn,
That's a dangerous
Charcuterie.
game.
Yeah, and we missed the hurricane, sadly.
Did Torn have U-turn? Maybe you could have U-turned into Scissor, because like U-turn would guarantee it, right?
I actually
Be in
don't
range.
remember if we have U-turn or not. But that's a fair play for sure. It probably was U-turn, but also like that opens up the possibility of like, okay, you could just go Raikou on the bullet punch,
Yeah,
and then you have
that's
to
true.
sack something to volt switch basically. It's like not exactly a straightforward play. Whereas Hurricane, if you hit, the Lando's dead. So I think Hurricane was probably
That's
correct
true.
anyways. And then here he doubles out on the next rock slide, but reveals to be psychic,
With Psychic.
which like fair enough. But I feel like you had to go for it as Carson there. Then here, no other choice than to go for the roll. Gets it, but then Raikou comes in, forces a KO with Volt Switch. And now you have Torn against like a 81% Raikou and a max Spadef Mew. It's just not going to be enough.
Yeah.
It was nasty plot Torn, so actually could potentially, if Dark Pulse flinches this with Raikou, could potentially be the game, but no such luck, and we're going to go down to the Volt Switch. So now DUI is up 4-2, right?
Ooh.
4-2, so it's a must-win for the next two games. And our next two games are Genius X and Regulator. So Genius versus Jimmy, and then Greg versus iPro. Now, one of these is not like the others, but we do have to win both to stay in the tournament. So here, we have Genius versus Jimmy. We have this team with Lele, and then Keldeo as the main offensive guys, and Cinderace obviously, of course. But
It's a really nice switch.
yeah, Cinderace into double water with Garchomp, maybe a little bit less stellar. So the idea that I came up for with this matchup is Future Sight Lele, because we were trying a few things, like just trying to brute force through Scizor with Specs, not really working as the Lele. So I suggested Future Sight with AV, and what that allows you to do is you have a really reliable Starmie check. You're able to switch into Zapdos, set a Future Sight in the air, and then Cinderace comes in on the Scizor, and then the combination of Power Ball plus Future Sight and Terrain, it actually KOs Starmie, first of all, but it kills everything, basically. So that sequence forces KOs. It's also very good paired with Keldeo. So Surf plus Future Sight or Power Ball plus Future Sight, those were the best combinations here. We have a few ways of making that happen. I believe it's eject button on, was it Mandibuzz or was it Blissey? It was one of the two. So basically Future Sight, get the eject button into Cinderace, or just switch Cinderace hard in on Scizor was also fine. And so that was like the main progress generation for this team. Then you have Blissey, which is like a lead set with lots of coverage moves. You can see like Ice Beam for Chomp, Flamethrower for Scizor, T-Bolt for Starmie, Gyarados. It kind of just kills everything, and it's very hard to kill in one hit. So lead Blissey was always putting in a lot of work. And then, Keldeo, there is a Gyarados and a Starmie, so it's mostly just there to either take advantage of Future Sight or just flip turn into, our other guys. See a Zapdos lead into the Blissey, immediate just Ice Beam this. We see a Volt Switch into Scizor, but Ice Beam reveals this to be Max Spadef, which makes sense obviously into the Lele. But here we get the Flamethrower, which immediately weakens it for our Lele. It can no longer switch into something like Psychic. That's really good progress from the Blissey early. Goes for a soft build on the U-turn, and now Grimmsnarl comes in, but here we're going to see a really cool tech. You see a White Herb Lash Out. Now if you don't know what Lash Out does, I'm sure you're not alone, but when the opponent lowers one of your stats in a given turn, it doubles the power. So taking advantage of the Intimidate Landorus, and then White Herb getting rid of the drop, and then Lash Out being double base power on this turn, really rips a huge chunk off of our Landorus, which is a big deal here, because we're Scarf Lando, and now we can no longer U-turn on Garchomp. Rough Skin will knock us out. So it's like really hard to actually get anything reasonable done with our Landorus. We get Rocks up with Scarf Rocks, so at least there is that, but now Interesting. We see Screens Zapdos in the lead
Th-
slot.
These guys are addicted
They're
to the
actually
Screens
just
Zapdos.
addicted.
Every game they have one.
Yeah. I think Wider was too greedy. I mean, it did exactly what they wanted it to do, so I think you can't exactly hate on that. Here, he makes a nice play, Lando T on the Volt Switch, and then gets Stone Edge Chip as Hurricane is revealed. So you go Lando because after it reveals Volt Switch, you either hard wall it because it's Roost Last, or it's Hurricane, and then there's no recovery. So you get your chip, and Zapdos is basically dead. Now Lele comes in to set up a Future Sight, or just go for a Psyshock, that works too. Now Scizor comes in, and here Cinderace gets a free entry point. I believe we're just going to U-turn here, right? That would make the most sense to me. Yeah, U-turns on the Chomp, gets a nice crit. Another Rocky Helmet Chomp. And now Keldeo comes in, threatening Icy Wind. We actually go for a Taunt, trying to prevent hazards from going up. And now Blissey comes in on the Starmie, but Psyshock and Terrain is just going to knock it out in one. Because it's Analytic, Life Orb, Terrain, Psyshock. Now Cinderace comes in because it's offensive Starmie, it will die to U-turn. So just go for that. Chomp comes in again, but eventually we're going to put in Blaze range if he keeps this up, so honestly not the end of the world. Now Keldeo comes in, goes for the Icy Wind, forces out the Garchomp, and then now flip turns on the Starmie, and Lele can come in. Because it's -1 speed, Lele will outspeed the next turn. But now the Scizor is pretty reasonably healthy, able to switch in, so now you see the Future Sight going off, and now Cinderace comes in on the knockoff, and because of Terrain, you can't Bullet Punch, so now you see the combination working as intended. Pyro Ball does 47 into Future Sight, finishing off the Gyarados. Why did that do 47? I mean, Blaze, right? But here, a great taunt on the Stealth Rock Chomp. And now Keldeo able to come in on the Grimmsnarl. Okay, fair enough. Flip turns out into the Cinderace. Just sacks it off to the Play Rough, and now Lele comes in, threatening a Moonblast. As Garchomp is going to come in, get sacked off here. And now Scizor comes in, Keldeo still can switch in on that, no problem.
Yeah, it feels like Jimmy was just like stuck recovering in the same game. Like he just never attacked, like that Zing really get pressure.
Yeah, and now because we're AV, Lele can come in here and threaten with a T-Bolt, right? So Scizor comes in, but it's taking rocks and T-Bolt, and again, we can just switch. This time into Mana Buzz. Goes for a foul play, and goes for a knockoff to get rid of the eject button. Oh wait, no, I guess we took off eject button in prep for Charty Berry. Either way, we're able to taunt. This team has like 3 taunts to keep things low, and now taking another foul play. Lele is looking like it just sweeps. But now substitute Grimmsnarl, so maybe Jimmy's still in this, because foul play is not going to break the sub. Play Rough is going to bring Mandy very low, but with a bulk up, I mean the second one's going to break the sub, but you can just sub this turn, I think. So Genius reads that, goes into Keldeo, goes for Surf to break the sub, and I think with that play, now Lele just wins, right?
Yep.
As long as the T-Bolt knocks out Starmie after Rocks and Life Orb, we should be chillin'. Here's Hydro Pump, doesn't KO obviously because we're AV, and it is going to knock it out. And Scizor obviously at 7%, not able to take a Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that is crazy on game by Zing.
Yeah, that
like Jimmy had a like especially
the
after
taunt
the
was season saving.
Yeah, taunt on the rocks was whew.
That was hot, yeah.
You just need your Lele healthy, right?
Yeah,
like...
you really needed Lele. Like Lele was the whole thing that opens up this offense. Right. So now we're down 3-4, but our last game is Greg versus, you know, the greatest Sun and Moon player of all time, iPro. So it's like, in terms of like player matchup, it's definitely a scary one. But the Mons matchup, this is a rematch from the regular season. And this matchup is something where I think combined in the 2 weeks, like when we played them like week 3 or whatever, and then now in the semifinals, I think combined in this matchup we lost maybe 2 mocks and won like 20. You know?
This is like,
it's
one
so
of
good.
as good as you can get of a matchup, right? Like I think iPro's draft is like pretty bad. Greg's draft is good, and like even the mon is good. So
No, that's the thing. I think iPro's draft is good. It's just bad into ours.
I don't like it.
Well, what's there not to like? I
don't know,
don't
just-
understand.
I was in their server and like they were like really struggling to find a good solution, like a consistent way to win.
I mean, isn't it just Zygarde most weeks? I don't know how it could be that hard. But either way, so basically this matchup, the only real threat is Zeraora. If we can handle Zeraora, we can handle the rest of them.
Yeah.
The guy who drafts a Tauros and Doublade calling others bad, interesting. He's got you there. He does got you there. So the main thing that makes this matchup so strong is the combination of Rocks plus Kartana and just Zard in general. Because the fire resists, they die to HP Ice and Solar Beam, like from very high HP. So it doesn't take a whole lot for Zard to just force KOs. And in this game, we actually ended up being Flame Charged on the Zard. So once it gets going, it's really hard to stop. And there's also Scarf Kartana plus Rocks. Obviously, the only real grass resist is Pidgeot. You could say Bronzong, but Bronzong is not exactly long for this world versus this team. There's stuff like Azu, Snorlax, which is Belly Drum, and then Lando T, obviously. They all kind of invite the Bronzong in and chip it down. The Starmie as well, right?
Bronzong's never going to be a late game on.
Exactly. So yeah. And then Snorlax also just 6-0s this team. So yeah, pretty cool. And then also Azu is like also really scary for them because they don't have a good switch in to like Liquidation Play Rough. What's up, Craig? Scary for iPro, excuse you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I mean, if this was Aaron Rodgers, it would be pretty easy for iPro, but this is Soup, so I think you got it. All right, Pidgeot leads off into the Lando T. We are Scarf Rocks on this thing, so our idea was Pidgeot doesn't really want to stay in versus lead Lando T, and the reason why is because Bronzong is such a safe play here. And you don't really want to stay in on a Stone Edge, because if you do that, the cart's just going to win in about 5 seconds. So we just go for Rocks on lead Pidgeot, which, if they stay in like they do, it's fine, you know. Lando takes some chip, but this team is offensive. We don't really need HP on Lando. Here, Feather Dance, but we're prepared for that. We have the Belly Drum.
That was a tough turn.
Yeah, he's raw for that. If that was Peck, we were cooked, but...
Recycle too, like,
and then no chill, just hard EQ on the Bronzong. And you know how he knew? We actually went over this before the game. If the Bronzong is Levitate, it always comes in turn 1 versus Lando Pidgeot lead.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
Because it didn't, he's like, yeah, that's heat proof for sure, and calls it immediately with the Earthquake, and he's just the GOAT for that. Now Zeraora comes in. The only way it kills is with a Z move or with Life Orb, but we have an Azu, which is Wakan Berry, so able to pivot in on a close combat no matter what, and go for a Play Rough. Here, Nidoqueen takes the chip, and Starmie is able to come in. Our Starmie is Assault Vest, so it doesn't really fear like a Sludge Wave too much. And now Feeny comes in on, I presume, a Scald. But this is all the chip that we needed. Eject button self-goob once again, because that chip puts it in Solar Beam range. Like, so epic. But now Sub-Zeraora on the Scald. So,
that's so tough.
Greg is raw for
Greg
this.
Is so tough.
He's so tough. Yeah. And we sacked the Starmie because the Zera's already low. And now Kartana, the only grass resist is Pidgeot, and Rocks are up. Like, so he goes for a Psycho Cut, predicts the Nidoqueen, and it's Cuss Stab, but it's not Flamethrower, so never punished. He's too raw for that. Now Zygarde comes in, We can just go land OT though and intimidate this. 1,000 arrows comes out as 34, but now it's just a U-turn, but reveals E speed. So now we see Zard coming in on a -1 Zygarde. It's the freest flame charge of all time,
And
which we don't
this
click,
looks
but
more.
like it's chill because now it's the freest flame charge of all time. Yeah, Nature's Madness not going to be impactful chip here because Solar Beam going to knock this out. Then the rest of these guys all die to, like, you know, our moves. Zygarde comes out, but you know we're packing HP Ice. And they just freaking die because we're modest. Hell yeah.
So
Pidgeot
strong.
comes in, can't even dodge if he wanted. Boom.
Zardwai has had like a great season. It feels like every
Yeah.
matchup I've seen it feels like really hard for the opponent.
Yeah, shout out to Soup. And our season is saved. Yippee!
Season saved.
Yeah. Joined during this legendary game, lucky me. Yeah, lucky you. You get to see Regulator just absolutely obliterate iPro. Shout out to the
But you're
GOAT.
gonna see the next game is legendary too.
Oh yeah. Yo, I hate you for this one. So that forces us to tie breaks. And now, so here's the tie break matchups, right? We have Gypsy King versus Blitz in ORAS. We have me versus 100p in Swish. And we have Genius X versus Agent Flame in SV. Now, so we picked ORAS because obviously Gypsy King is, you know, probably the GOAT of ORAS, some might argue. And so it's the gen he's most comfortable in. We felt like this team had pretty solid matchups across the board. So we ended up going with this one. And yeah, so we actually matched up into the exact same ORAS team as the semifinals match. So no problem for Gypsy. He always has 17 pace a week, so just bring a different one.
Just picked another one.
Yeah. So this time he brought a build based around T-Spike's Dragalge, plus like Will-O-Wisp Gallade, a lot of passive damage, and then Life Orb Torn to really put on offensive pressure, taking advantage of that. This is like Scarf Empoleon to always check a SD Scizor with HP Fire. Also outspeed stuff like Kyurem and Gallade. You know, pick them up with your stab moves.
Yeah.
Cresselia here, I don't remember exactly what the set was. I believe it was just
Lunar Dance, no?
was it? Actually
What
don't
happened?
remember. It was Lunar
Yeah,
Dance
me
in
neither.
the earlier
Probably
game.
didn't do much that game. Spoiler.
Yeah. And then Crocodile, I believe, was on this team.
It was bulky. No, it was bulky again, right?
I think it
Wagen.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. It was fat again.
Hmm.
I helped Blitz a lot for this matchup.
Yeah.
I have like some insight on the team. Looking at how Gypsy plays, we wanted like a status absorber. Like we know he loves to be passive and like just play the long game, have like his bulky guys. So she wanted a status absorber first. We also, I think you needed the Donphan for hazards, right? I needed a spin and rocks, so that was pretty necessary. KB, like we thought like KB and like Gallade didn't have like the greatest matchups, but like the way you wanted to make it work, like I think KB kind of had to be physical. If I wanted to break Crest, that was going to be like potentially Lum, because Gypsy's brought it a lot. So there's like just Life Orb physical, because Fusion is both going to smash left key anyways, and then you could also have like just like that modest, the Adamant Ice Beam. It's still going to do a lot to Crook. Wisp, it was Wisp Gallade to check their Gallade, to check you guys Gallade.
Yeah, so both Gallades were Wisp. That's epic.
Yeah, like you take the +2 and then once it's weakened.
Yeah.
Cause like the win con was basically if Aloe was burned, if Gallade was burned, then you could like you could go in your win con, right? And it was really tough for Gypsy to win. And the win con was Calm Mind, Restock Aloe.
Yeah.
So this was I came with that set because it was like needed a status absorber, and like it was really hard for that team to absorb status. It's also like you couldn't really HO your way out of it. Because like KB Gallade kind of like didn't force enough progress, so then it was like Togekiss into double steal, right? Again, like the same matchup we talked about. Scizor was actually good. we should brought Bandit instead of SD just like to switch it up. I think it's a nice Gallade Revenge Killer.
Yeah, from our end, we
Um,
really expected Lum Scizor to come because we already revealed our hand
yeah,
with Wisp Gallade.
yeah,
So it felt like the natural progression would be just be Lumberry on Scizor.
yeah. But we figured like, yeah, that's why like we had rest Aloe, which wanted to absorb status. It's also like it was nice, like the Aloe was nice because you can come in like early slash mid game, force progress, especially like on Empoleon, even like Dragalge, on like other mons, so you could open up for the Scizor or even open up for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe if you weren't Life Orb Torn, Hurricane was a 3-hit KO. Was not a 3-hit KO, so you could always like rest on Hurricane.
Yeah, and Calm Mind up on
And
it.
the rest was like Fizz Def, so it was just like literally no special attack, just like forever tank, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
And like even if you get roared out by Empoleon, you don't care because you have regen. It's not like
Yeah,
anything. It also checks the T spikes, which like this team is giga weak to T spikes,
for
right?
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Get into the game. Alright, Togekiss leads off into Dragalge. So a good lead for Gypsy. Just goes for the T-Spikes. As a Nasty Plot comes out, we just go into Empoleon on the Air Slash. We do have Scarf Flash Cannon, but we do have to unfortunately give up our Empoleon to chip the Togekiss.
Yeah. Yeah, the plan is like the Togekiss lead really opened up for the Scizor, which is like kind of part of the plan.
Yeah.
Where like you force, because Gypsy was obviously shouldn't click Sludge Wave that first turn because there's a Scizor, there's like other stuff, right? So you don't expect the Togekiss to like, you don't expect the Togekiss to play that aggressively. But
Yeah.
the T-Spikes also like are so good, right? So if you lead your Gougy, you kind of expect the T-Spikes.
Yeah, lead Dragalge is like very telegraphed. Either way,
Yeah.
we have fast Stone Edge Gallade, so able to revenge kill this Togekiss after taking that Flash Cannon, and now Gallade versus Gallade. But we have a Torn T that can come in on anything, even a Wisp. No big problem, because where's the Flying Resist? You left it at home, there's no Raikou. So Donphan comes in, takes 48 from Hurricane, but the J. Ricky Citrus Berry pops, which means that a spin is possible if you want to go for it. See a U-turn, go into the Crocodile. Just trying to punish the Rapid Spin with Rocky Helmet plus the Poison. And now it's actually in EQ range, I'm pretty sure, because that was like Max Spadef Donphan. But here, instead of EQing, we actually just go for Rocks and trade quite a lot of HP on our Crook for it. Was it worth it? I think probably yes. Because Crook doesn't really beat Kyurem Black or Gallade. It's like reasonable into Scizor. But we have other things for Scizor. It's not the end of the world. Like it's Fire Punch Gallade. So here we go hard to the Gallade, predicting like an SD or something. But Banded Bullet Punch is just barely a 2-hit KO on our spread. So unfortunate. Have to sack Crook. But do get the Intimidate and the Helmet off. So not the end of the world. Torn comes in for another collection, basically, as Hurricane comes off.
But you have to switch out here because
54 to Kyurem. Yeah, you have to fear Scarf here, unfortunately. And Cresselia is just like a safe play. But a crit Life Orb Outrage will certainly get you across the line. Crit didn't matter, obviously. 91 more than enough, but yeah. Now Torn, now that we know it's not Scarf, can just foul play. No problem. But now Aloe comes in and just U-turn into the Dragalge, right? Yeah. As Calm Mind comes out. Now we are Haze Dragalge, but the problem with that is Aloe's just so fat. And here's Scald, no burn.
As soon as Aloe gets a burn, it's like really tough.
Like a burn on Dragalge is like really tough to come back from.
It's also like if you have SD Galley at this point, it's tough, right? But you don't want to take a burn either.
Yeah. And there's finally the burn.
Yeah, because you can whittle it down, then like kind of... Yeah, Scizor kind of shreds this end game too, but I think you want to position like the Aloe to like get 2 sleep turns in, so like when it comes back in, it's not getting poisoned.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, so here, this is Big Chip.
Yeah.
That Draco, really massive.
It was asleep for 2 turns here, right?
Let's rest, yeah.
Rest.
So here Gallade comes in. And now you have to respect SD from this position.
Yeah, for sure.
So just Drain Punch.
The drain, yeah. The drain didn't reveal no SD. Yeah.
Now Torn comes in on knock. We lose the Life Orb, which is kind of tough.
Losing the
but
life orb was very big. Yeah.
yeah.
Because now, like, you can't 3-hit KO Aloe, and you're set up fodder.
Yeah.
It's also like Scizor should win from this point. It's a roll on Gallade, yeah.
I don't know if it was a roll. We have quite a lot of bulk on this, so.
Yeah.
But here, Aloe versus the world. And here's the situation, right? Aloe, if he rests up on a Dragalge switch, Dragalge will take burn that turn, and then on the Sleep Talk, you have to not pull Calm Mind, basically.
Yeah.
As Draco Meteor does, as we saw, about 66%, and then you'll die to burn, and then Drain Punch will 2-hit KO. So that's the play that Gypsy has to go for. He has to call the rest turn, which it looks like it will be this turn. And it is that turn, but he doesn't go Dragalge, either doesn't recognize the situation, or just, I don't know, not willing to pull the trigger that turn. But yeah, now goes Dragalge, which I think is just a turn late. Because now you're... Sure, the Sleep Talk pulls rest, but the main problem is the second sleep turn is burned immediately. Sure, they get a Calm Mind, but it was completely lost even if that didn't happen, because rest next turn on Gallade. And now Gallade just can't beat Aloe at this point, just rest forever.
Yeah, you just rest until, you just have to wait until you get a burn.
Yeah, and that's going to be the game. So, really nice Aloe set. We obviously didn't mock a single Aloe, so...
Yeah, Aloe was like really bad this game, right? Because status.
It was for sure like the 8th Mon, but it was unexpected, and like, versus the exact team that we brought, turned out to be the perfect set.
If
so,
like Gypsy would like Black Sludge on the Dragalge or like taunt on like Torn or Gallade.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of ways that this could go wrong, but we didn't have any.
It was the thing is, it was tough, right? Taunt was a tough fit because you're basically facing like strong wall breakers. You don't really want to run Taunt, right? So like status was like the most likely like slow burn. It's also like you have T-Spike, right? So why would you like add extra moves for Aloe when you already have T-Spike and like the Mon doesn't have like it's literally not even good, right?
No, it makes sense. It's just we did not see this one coming for sure. So like good prep.
Like this set was literally winning every mock. Like I would post, Blitz posted,
I don't
like,
doubt
6 replays. Bliss posted 6 replays in a row. I just like skimmed through all of them, and in the end game was like always Aloe at like +2/+2 versus everybody.
Yeah. All right, so now this is a must-win situation for me versus, you know, some would say the best Swish player in 100p. Yeah. So it's a daunting matchup. No lie. So
but like I unlocked you for this one, and when I was building, like I was like, how the hell did Craig win this, dude? Like it felt
the matchup was like
really. I really like this matchup. I mean, there's a reason why we brought this team, right? It's because it had good matchups against this team in specific. So obviously there's Keldeo versus Quillfish Water Resist, something that will be taken advantage of. But also the Quillfish is doubling as the only fire resist. So I have the combination of Choice Band Cinderace plus Specs Keldeo. So basically the idea is weaken Quillfish with one, and then the other one will just 6-0 the rest of the team. Ideally, I want to weaken with Keldeo and win with Cinderace because it's faster than Raikou, and Raikou is annoying to switch into. He did a total of 150% in the mock I did. Yeah, that was a beatdown, I'm not gonna lie. But, yeah, so my sets here. I have Max Spadef Lando with Rocks, Knock, U-Turn, Earthquake, just as standard as it gets. Choice Banded Cinderace, 24 defense allows me to always live an Earthquake from Celesteela from full. I live a... what else do I live? A Lycanroc, a Cellrock, which was on the bench, Lycanroc Dusk. Life Orb, a Cellrock I live from full, puts me in Blaze range. Pretty cool. And then I have Sucker Punch on here as well. I don't have Zen Headbutt, I had it for a long time in Mox, but I actually just never clicked it versus Quillfish. I'd rather just Pyro, get the guaranteed like chip on something. There's like a perfect mid ground versus pretty much everything. So I never clicked Zen, so I put Sucker just in case there was an autotomized Steela or like Dragon Dance Mew, something like that, because I don't have a Scarfer on this team. So I wanted some priority to handle that. Speaking of priority, I have Spell Tag Aegislash with Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, CC, Sword Stance. I have quite a bit of speed, quite a bit of bulk, but still max attack Adamant. This was my main win condition outside of like Cinderace. Like these two were the ones winning most of the games. +2 Aegislash does just kind of kill everything. A little bit of chip on Raikou and Lando, and then Sneak will knock them out. +2 with the spell tag boost is able to basically KO Celesteela after rocks, if I'm not wrong. I remember killing one from like 91 in a mock, so that doesn't make sense. And then obviously Scrafty needs to be Choppleberry or else it will die to a close combat even after Intimidate. A +1 CC, very strong. Keldeo, obviously Specs with Hydro, Surf, Secret Sword, and Aqua Jet. So I just kind of spammed a bunch of priority just in case the Steela gets an autotomized, because most of the problems I was having in Mox was like a special Meteor Beam autotomized Steela, which, my Aegislash can take a +1 fire move, but outside of that, it is kind of shaky, right? Spadef Lando can live, but knockoff isn't doing a whole lot, especially after the Power Herb is used up. Mandibuzz can live, but again, not doing a whole lot back. Cinderace can live from full, but barely, and I'm most likely taking rocks on that thing. And then Lele can take a hit, but obviously, I'll be taking chip on this thing versus stuff like Raikou, most likely, versus stuff like Mew. Lele is going to be Calm Mind with Aromatherapy, Moonblast, Thunderbolt. Now, Aromatherapy was a really nice bring here. Kind of added it on like the last few days of Mox, because there's two things that Craig is addicted to in Swish. One of them is Meteor Beam, and the other one is Toxic. So covering Toxic with Aromatherapy Lele felt like it made a lot of sense, especially versus a team that could very viably run a T-Spike Quillfish. If he wants to sack his Pokemon to get T-Spikes up, I can defog with my Mandibuzz and Aromatherapy all of the poisons, as well as, most of the problems in Mox were coming from stuff like Toxic Lando, Toxicking my own Lando, and then Protect Raikou, really like racking up that passive chip. So Aromatherapy kind of deals with that pretty handily. Also allows me to risk stuff like Scald Burn on my Aegislash versus Raikou, Scald Burn on my Lando, all that sort of thing. And then obviously T-Wave versus my Keldeo. So I'm able to make the play of Keldeo staying in on the Quillfish and just surfing it down to open up my Cinderace, and I'm not punished as hard because I have Aromatherapy to heal off that para. And then last up, I do have a Mandibuzz. This Mandibuzz is like minus speed 0 IVs, so I can get slow U-turns versus the likes of Scrafty and Celesteela. Getting the slow turn on a Leech Seed Steela was really impactful in Mox, and then allows me to get in my Choice Banded Cinderace and get off a big hit. That sequence was really powerful, as well as, knock U-turn, Roost, obviously just standard Mandibuzz stuff. Checks the Landorus to decent effect, like a DD Mew, for example, is going to get knocked into range of my Shadow Sneak Aegislash. So overall, this team, it felt really, really smooth in Mox. The only problem was like that autotomized special Steela, which obviously he does have to kind of respect Blissey on the bench with a set like that. So if I do bring Blissey, it's a useless set. So there is that. And also, if he doesn't bring Spadef Steela, the Lele is just going to cook him. So there is that. Like, most of the Steelas in Mox were Spadef. So I was pretty confident in if it was autotomized, I'd be able to play around it. And it was most likely going to be Spadef anyways. So let's get into the game. Lando T leads off into Celesteela. I think I'm just going to get my rocks here. I really want rocks up here because it only takes a few switch-ins for Raikou to be in range of +2 sneak, and that's one of my priority win conditions. So really impactful rocks there. And now he goes for Protect and Toxic, so now I'm no longer worried about autotomize at all, obviously. I just U-turn into my Mandibuzz, and on Earthquake, cool. And now I can just go for a slow U-turn. I go for a knockoff actually, because removing an item is nice. Lando comes in, reveals to be Rocky Helmet, so it's a bulky Lando. Probably just gonna trade rocks here, so I go Keldeo. No sense in taking rocks on my Keldeo because it's actually impactful. Because my Keldeo, with the HP investment I have, will live offensive Raikou T-Bolt. Not 100% of the time, but healthy enough where I can just stay in and not really worry about it. So Keldeo in for full, that's a nice play. Now Quillfish comes in as I go for a Surf, does 41% as it eats a Citrus Berry. So it is a 3-hit KO, I'm just going to go for it, because like I said, I have the Aromatherapy Lele if my Keldeo does eat a T-Wave, and I do think that a Spike is pretty likely in a situation like this. But he does go for the T-Wave and misses. So obviously, that's great for me. But like I said, I did have the Aromatherapy. It would allow him to Pain Split next turn, but I was just going to stay in and Surf repeatedly until this Quillfish dies. So, either way, I was going to get my chip for my Cinderace. Now Raikou comes in, reveals no boots, which is big. And here, like I said, I'm at full. I can stay in. He goes for a Scald, predicting Lando. Gets the burn, lucky players, etc. Anyways, crazy, Lando comes in on a Volt Switch because, you know, you're not going to Scald again. Like, come on. Now Lando's in, can just go for a U-turn with rocks up. It is kind of hard.
The fried bag turn. That was crazy.
That was raw. I'm not going to lie, I aura farmed a little bit here. U-turn into my Keldeo. He revealed Heavy Slam, Earthquake, or like, the last move isn't revealed, but I'm like 900% sure that it's Heavy Slam, which is interesting because it's Protect with no Leech Seed. So that's definitely weird. But either way, it's a free entry point for Keldeo, and with Rocks up, Surf is going to 2-hit KO Mew. Even though it's Spadef, does 49. So after leftovers, it's still going to be in range, no problem. So Keldeo gets another KO, shout out. Now Raikou comes in, and watch this, guys, watch this. Mandibuzz hit on Shadow Ball. I'm not gonna lie, I was just sacking him. I didn't need him, but I look raw now. And it turns out to be Volt Switch, so no T-Bolt. And I just go for a knockoff here, I think, because it's just good value no matter what he goes into. Knockoff into Scrafty. And then because I'm slow Mandibuzz, I can get off the Roost and then a slow U-turn. I don't have my boots anymore after this knockoff, but that's fine. I was already willing to sack my Mandibuzz like 2 turns ago, so it's really not the end of the world.
It won't matter after this turn anyway.
Yeah, because my Lele comes in, forces this out, and you're going to see the Aromatherapy click, and that just like causes him to have an aneurysm or something because he just forfeits immediately. And I'll be honest,
the Aroma Lele was really cool, Brain, because like he said like, okay, like if I don't see Blissey, like it's I can actually like abuse Toxic, right? It's completely like went over Aroma Lele. Really strong, Brain.
Yeah. And
if
so
you don't
go on. Alright, cool. So like I'm like 100% sure I had this game locked up anyways. Cinderace literally clicks Flare Blitz like 4 times and the game ends. The only thing that can come in on it is Scrafty, which obviously has leftovers knocked. I can go Mandibuzz on that every time and slow U-turn into Lele. Moonblast is a KO every time. Like, yeah. Basically 100% won. Alright, now we even it up 1-1. And now we have Genius X versus Agent Flame for all of the marbles. So the winner of this is going to clinch finals for their team. Now, our build here. So this is going to be Booster Energy, Special Attack, Raging Bolt, Terra Ghost, with Calm Mind, Sub, Terra Blast, and Thunderclap. Just Terra Blast Ghost is very spammable into this team. Thunderclap is very nice. Because if you get a little bit of chip on Meow, it does just die to like a boosted Thunderclap, so I didn't really feel a need to pack coverage for it. Yeah, so no problem there. Crocodile is going to be like a bulky lead set with Custap, Endeavor, Rocks, Knock, and I believe Endure. So not packing EQ on this specific Crocodile, but that's fine. They have to play around it anyways. Fire Avatar. Yep, so true. Then Iron Valiant here, I believe it was just Life Orb physical, but still has Moonblast, but close combat, liquidation, poison jab, really powerful set into a lot of, their Pokemon. And then Swala is going to be eject button to absorb T-spikes and not lose too much momentum. Gives us, a free pivot versus Meowscarada, Conkeldurr, that sort of thing. And then Cinderace here is going to be the win condition, which is Dual Dance, Sub Lychee Berry, Blaze, Pyro Ball. Now this set was winning legit every single mock. Because the fire resist here is Glimmora, and that's it. So basically, if we're able to get into Blaze range, the only thing that's really stopping us is like a Mach Punch Conk. And like Sucker Meow, but Sucker Meow is like brought one time in all of the mocks combined, so we weren't really too worried about that. Like, if it's Sucker, it's Sucker. We're not gonna like play around it. And then Mesprit is going to be, shout out, Screens, Healing Wish. Yup, the GOAT. All right, let's get into the game. We do see Poison Torn, which was a surprise. Really expected like Ground or Fairy for the Bolt, as is the standard, and then Steel on the Conkeldurr, sure. And we are, like I said, Ghost Bolt. So Meowscarada leads off, but our Crocodile, I believe, is EV'd for Triple Axle, even from Choice Banded Meowscarada, which is crazy. But yeah, guaranteed rocks up, and now we knock off the Assault Vest here, which means that this is going to be in range of Moonblast from our Iron Valiant, which is a big deal, because we're going to go hard Iron Valiant on the Drain Punch, get crit, but that shouldn't be too impactful. Now a Moonblast is threatened here, but we go for a close combat on the Iron Crown switch-in, does 78%, damn. And then from that, he's able to deduce this is a bulky crown, believe it or not, and not going to be Scarf. Low-key, I made that up, but I'm assuming that's max HP. Because Valiant is just so strong. It's 2 a.m. here, fam. Gotta get to sleep now. This would be the last game I would watch. I mean, this is the last game.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it is the last one.
Alright. So Iron Crown does go down to the combination of CC and Liquidation. Now Torn comes in to get the Terra off, I presume, but doesn't actually end up tearing as Iron Valiant goes down. Now Raging Bolt comes in, gets the booster, and now can just go for a Calm Mind on this thing. So, but doesn't end up doing so, just goes for a Terra Blast, which is going to 2-hit KO Conkeldurr, so I guess just forcing a KO, nothing wrong with that. Now,
At this point, I
in.
thought like Zing would definitely win in.
Oh yeah, he's in the driver's seat for sure in this situation. Now here, when the light screen comes out, and then Rocks comes out, at this point, I think he just goes for like a sub, right? Yeah, because he's like, this Glim wasn't doing anything to me. May as well get a sub up. As Meowscarada comes in, and we just go for a Terra Blast, chip this thing down a little bit. And now Crocodile comes in on the locked knockoff. We have no item, so no problem there. And now what? Just go for a knockoff of your own, right? Yeah. Knocks out the Glimmora. And now T-Spikes are up, but we have an eject button Swalot to absorb it. No matter what. And now Torn comes out, goes for a Grass, now we go Mesprit. And so he reveals Nasty Plot as Reflect goes up, and we go for a Light Screen as well. And now +6 Torn, we reveal Psychic Noise, so at least get a little bit of chip on the Torn. But Sludge Wave is doing a lot of damage. It's a 2-hit KO behind screens even. So just gonna knock out our Mesprit, and now, I mean, the Bolt has to come in, and it's potentially a 50-50 between Clap and Terra Blast. They go Meowscarada on the Thunderclap, and yeah, now Swala is going to be used up, absorbs the T-Spikes. Flower Trick is clicked as the lock, which means now our Cinderace actually gets a setup turn.
And it should just win right here.
Well,
like
here's the thing, right?
Than your Swords Dance.
If the Lando comes in hard here, then Cinderace might not just win immediately. But there is Reflect up, so I would assume that Earthquake doesn't quite KO from 75, but I don't actually know for sure. Either way, you Agility this turn. As Flower Trick is clicked again, does 28%, and now we can just Swords Dance as the next. Flower Chick puts us in Blaze range. We get our Lychee Berry. We're +3 in Blaze. That's going to kill like 7 Land OTs.
Is that what's gonna happen?
That's what should have happened. However, comma.
Yeah,
My-
Zing was like super low on timer, like both of them.
Yeah, he had like 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
Not a lot, yeah. I'm sure like it's also season on the line, right? So you're like super nervous.
I mean, yeah, there's got to be some nerves involved. But also, our Cinderace in Blaze, because we have Lychee Berry to reset the Intimidate off of Substitute, if he's just like offensive Lando, it still dies to Pyro Ball. So he thought he just won, but I mean,
offensive.
no, it's defensive Lando, or at the very least like max HP, which makes sense into Bolt, right? Makes sense
It would,
into
like,
Valiant.
Max HP like 100 defense, something like that.
Yeah, it was very bulky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Lando's just gonna sweep now because it's faster than everything, and we have a Swalot and a Raging Bolt, and that's the season over. So, shout out to Genius X, the GOAT of all time. Not clicking Swords Dance in a 1 position.
He's
What
like
can you
the
do,
last
bro?
guy. The
What
last
can
guy
you
you
do?
would ever expect to choke.
Yeah. It's like I wouldn't have anyone else I'd rather have in that position, but everyone can throw, you know, no one's immune.
Yeah.
I threw a 1 position this season. Now he threw one. I'm sure everyone in the chat, you know exactly how this feels, but yeah, it's even worse because it's a team tour. Letting the team down, it's a horrible feeling. I know.
Yeah.
So, what that does mean though, I'm free. I don't have to prep for finals. So like, silver lining, right? I get to sit back and just watch the finals. I get to be a spectator, which honestly is one of my favorite things about DPL, just watching all the games happen. So, not the end of the world. Obviously,
Hey,
I would have
also a
liked to
little
be in
break.
finals. I feel like we
Also, a little
definitely
break
deserved
before
it,
DCL
but
comes up.
what's that?
Also, a little break before DCL comes up.
Yeah, a little break. I
When
get an
is
extra week.
DCL? It's like
The
2
signups
weeks.
go out in a few weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's June 1st.
I'm debating 2 things, right? So, Infernal Armory, right? We won the last season, and Aster did tell me he might be interested in a run back. Go for the back-to-back with Infernal Armory. That could be making history, because no team has ever won back-to-back before. Or, my other idea is to captain a DFL roster and take a break.
Yo.
And and draft Wi-Fi players that don't make it into DCL and call it the Wi-Fi Warriors.
Can you
and
draft
then,
me on that team
and then
too,
I could
'cause I'm
have
not been drafted.
yeah. And then I could have people like D-Ray in like a tournament format. I think that would be so funny to watch. It would be great for content, but most likely I'll probably end up captaining a DCL roster.
I don't investigate.
But it does seem like a
really-
fire idea.
Feels like you're just captaining every tour.
Well, yeah, I like captaining.
It's
Generally
fun.
tend to do
I
pretty
like
well as
my own
well.
team.
Yeah, it's great. It is a lot of work, but also, you know, I found like a decent balance of not overworking myself, but still having a little bit of a hand in everything. It's like, yeah, a lot of experience kind of gets you there. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the stream. I think that's all the games. Shout out to Genius X, my goat. When you're in a tiebreak and you have to rely on one of Gypsy King, Genius X to clinch the series, at that point it's just unlucky, right?
Yeah, that was a crazy tiebreak, right? Because they're like, like if you look at the pick'ems, like the favorite player
It was
lost
exact
everything.
opposite, yeah. Which I think was correct. Like, I'm not the favorite versus Craig and Swish, but I really popped off. Like, I was locked in.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's also like,
tiebreak,
it's also like my teammate Carson was like 4-1 in Swish, so I was like, if I'm slotting myself, I can't slot myself and lose. That's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I would get clowned so much for that, and I would deserve it too. So, oh well, I tried my best. I did my part. can't be too sad about it. No regrets, all that. Everyone tried their best. That's the end of the season for ZFG. Still no chip for that franchise, despite, you know, several dominant seasons. Oh well.
Cursed.
Yeah,
That
my
team
aura
has, like-
repelled it.
I feel like that team always had strong rosters no matter the tour.
Well, yeah,
They
it's
just-
like me and Genius, I think, are the two players or two captains that tend to get strong rosters pretty
I feel
reliably.
like no shade to anybody else, but I feel like Zing's been the best captain I've ever had or like
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
worked with in any way.
I
Like,
think-
he's so great.
Prime Aster is still up there for me. I don't know if he's better or worse than Genius. I think they're about the same level, but like Prime Aster,
yeah.
the best teammate ever. I can't even lie. That's the
Yeah,
guy.
Aster is like non-stop, like
Yeah.
non-stop online. Like
That guy
doing
will
recommended-
do 40 mocks if you want him to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, Cinerath. That was the mentality. Alright, well, that's gonna be it for me. Finish up my outro here. If you liked the stream, go ahead and like the video. Obviously, it helps me out with the algorithm. The VODs tend to do pretty well for this sort of thing, so I'd appreciate that. And then, yeah, thanks for hanging out. Both of you guys,
Thank you
Loki
for
P
having us on.
and Dougal. And next stream depends on if finals goes to tiebreak or not. If it goes to tiebreak, it'll be in 2 weeks. If it doesn't go to tiebreak, we'll do the watch through next Tuesday. That'll be a fun time. Probably gonna do
I kind of
pick'ems because
hope-
it's finals and I'm not involved in the series anymore. So it's a lot easier to do
that'd
pick'ems
be
when it's
fun.
not my own team.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, probably do that on like Friday or something with Zooch.
Yeah.
And yeah, L5 winning another tiebreak game but loses the tiebreaks. Dave Roberts award for
So
real.
sad.
Yo, I've actually never played in a tiebreak.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's fun though. Like I feel like
It
I
is,
want
like-
like
Winning the tiebreaks like that, that's what it's all about. Like, it feels really good when you come out on top in a
Yeah.
tiebreak for your team. Like, that's what it's all
yeah. I
about.
was supposed to play in I was gonna play in the DCL tiebreak. We ended up just not. They ended
Not
up
making
picking
it.
VGC. No,
Oh.
it's just like they picked VGC.
Oh, I thought you
so
meant the
obviously I wasn't
series.
gonna play that. Yeah.
Yeah, when they pick VGC and you're like, well,
Yep. Let's go. Let's go, my VGC guys.
yeah, shut up VGC. Alright,